Aquifer Protection Agency to order. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and fire evacuation. In case of a fire, you can exit the rear of the chambers and travel a safe distance away from the building, or you can exit my left, your right, out the side doors, down a flight of stairs, and out the rear of the building, a safe distance. And roll call, please.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Mary Scott, absent. Frank Alimo.
Here.
John Petronella.
Here.
Vinnie Grillo.
Here.
Nelson Correa, absent. Kiran Mujmadar, absent. Richard Suzak is here.
Okay, Commissioner Correa stated that he would not make the early meeting, so at this time I'd like to seat Commissioner Grillo for the remainder of the Aquifer Protection meeting. Can I get an approval of the minutes for October 28th, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say that I did watch both the Aquifer Protection meeting and the Planning and Zoning meeting, so I will vote on these.
What color shirt was I wearing?
I don't remember.
So, you didn't pay attention enough. No, she's out.
I don't remember what shirt I was wearing.
No other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Kieran just walked in for the record. That's okay. Public participation. Anybody here would like to speak to the commission about anything that is not currently on our agenda, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Correspondence. None at this time. New business, ARA 015-10 Lego Way.
The applicant is not here. Would you like me to speak before them?
Sure.
Okay. So
Recuse myself.
Oh, okay. We'll call for you when we're ready. Thank you, Jenny.
So this is for an aquifer protection renewal. The site is home to Harry Grotsky and Company Incorporated for pipe manufacturing and fabrication of metal products. The applicants are here for a registration renewal for Tinlego Way, which is over the A50, A45, and A80 aquifers. The applicant was before the agency back in 2018. However, due to construction at the time, their registration application was incomplete. They are here today for a renewal of their registration for the following related activities. T, production or fabrication of metal products. The site inspections showed that the facility is new, clean, and spacious with no violations detected on site. That's it.
Okay, so they are currently expired?
They never registered in 2018 because their application was never complete because they were going through all that construction. I'm not sure what was going on prior to that.
So they were never registered?
I think they were at one point, and then there was some kind of property change, and then their registration expired during that time change.
So there's no grandfather status?
I think there still is. It's just, there's like a, because of the construction period, I'm not exactly sure what transpired then.
Okay. So can you tell me how long it's been since they were expired? I'm just trying to establish a precedence.
Yep. I think they're still allowed within that 5-year forgiveness period because it definitely hasn't been that long for them. But I believe I got their address from a past aquifer file for them, and they originally registered in the beginning, and that was in 2008. Then they expired in 2013, and then they came back in 2018 to redo their registration. But then that's when Raquel was staff here, and then they had that construction happen, and then everything changed. And when I looked at the meeting minutes from 2018 for this application, it was mentioned that because they didn't have the site inspection and they didn't have the required materials that they do now, that they should come back when construction is done to do their aquifer registration. And that's the most I know.
Okay, so like I was saying earlier, on all applications from this point forward, if you could put their past registration in with the town's comments, when it expired or is going to expire, so we have that for the record, and then we won't have to deal with any of this moving forward. The reason for having their last application and approval is you've made it very clear that, certain things have happened in the past that shouldn't have. And, if they were approved then and they're not approved now, to avoid a whole situation like happened last meeting or something like that, we can see exactly what was approved and shouldn't have been and where you're coming from. You guys all good with that?
Yes.
Yep. John, you good with that? Yep. Okay. All right. Any questions about this applicant? Are you guys okay moving forward without the applicant present?
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve ARA 1510, ARA number 1510 Lego Way, renewal of an aquifer registration for Harry Gronsky Pipe Manufacturing Facility over the A80, A45, and A50 aquifers. Scott Gronsky, owner applicant, map 75, lot 102, I-1 zone, in conformance with section T.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call.
Ken Nelson,
4.
Linda DeGray,
Or
Frank Alamo,
4.
John Petronella,
4.
Vinnie Grillo,
4.
and Richard Suzak is 4.
All in favor, none against. And that was with Commissioner Higley abstaining, not abstaining,
she recused.
recused herself, I'm sorry, for the meeting. Okay. Yeah, please, Vinnie, thank you. Moving on, ARA 016-318 Hazard Avenue.
Tony.
Good evening.
Take the mask off. I didn't even recognize you.
Well, my immune system, because
Oh,
of the chemo I'm
okay,
going
understood,
through,
understood,
very
Tony.
compromised. And unfortunately, I've had a few mishaps with the doctors and nurses, and I've been in and out of the emergency room.
Excuse me, can you
twice.
Tony, just speak into the microphone, okay?
I'm Anthony DePace, owner, Hazardville Motors.
Welcome. I didn't recognize you, Tony. So,
Yeah, well, lots been going on in the last few months.
I hear
But
you.
I'm
You're
a
here.
lot better than I was before.
You're here.
Yep.
Good. All right. Tell
This
us
is-
what you got.
Well, my application, this is the first time I've been notified to renew my application since I applied back in '08. Never got notified 5 years down the road or 5 years after that one. As soon as I got notified for this one, I responded. And then unfortunately, as I was talking with her about doing the application and submitting some of the stuff, I ended up getting hospitalized and being diagnosed with cancer. So she was gracious enough to give me some time to get this thing together until I was able to get about and, get feeling better so I could handle doing the paperwork and stuff. And she helped walk me through some of the stuff, and I filled everything out. The shop is currently closed. It's been closed since August 10th.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to be reopening it. Probably going to be putting it up for sale, only because the best they're hoping for as far as my kidney function and liver function is probably going to be about 30-35%. It's not doable as far as working. They've declared me disabled.
Right. Okay.
But I've owned the property since 1992. We've never had a spill. We've never had a problem. Never had to call the DEEP. Anybody that's been in my shop, they know, containers all get sealed. Oil filters go in a 55-gallon drum and gets locked and sealed. Everything gets picked up and disposed of properly.
Good. In 2008, you did get your original registration.
Yes.
And then it just expired.
It expired, and nobody ever notified me to renew
Fine.
it.
That's why we're, from this point forward,
Right,
so
right.
we'll take care of that. I did notice a couple things or one thing in the inspection, Tony, is there is no second containment for your waste oil. Now, I understand you're not open,
Yeah.
and I'm not asking you to do anything with it right now,
Right.
but if
If-
you do open again,
Yeah.
could you either remove the tank or put a secondary containment, depending on who buys it?
Yes.
And again, as long as the building's closed, I'm okay with
Yeah.
it the way it is, just I want to make
Yeah.
that a condition of approval.
The building, we're not open for business. I've been servicing my vehicle, my son's vehicle, that's it, and I've been working on something once, which was my son's car. But other than that, we're not open for customers. I
Right.
can't physically work
Right.
more than an hour and a half, 2 hours
Yeah.
tops.
And that's why I'm
Yeah.
good with,
Yeah.
it's been pumped
So
recently, I
if-
would take it.
Huh?
It's been pumped in,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's a fairly new tank, too.
Yep.
I put it in maybe about 8 years ago.
Yep.
But if it remains a repair shop, if I sell it to somebody, which that's my preference, is to try and sell it to somebody, because it is probably, I think it's the oldest repair garage in town. It was built in 1923.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to keep it, so whoever buys it has that, but I do have other options. I've got somebody who's interested other than that, but.
Right. And that's why it's not open. So at this point, I don't care. But when you do turn it over or reopen,
Right.
because you're going to get
That'll
better
be-
and you're going to be
that'll
back
one of the
working.
clauses, I'll put that right in the contract when I sell it,
Yeah.
that they're going to have to
Yeah.
do this.
Well, you're not going to have to sell it. You'll be back in there in about a year working and be positive. That's all you got to do,
Well,
Tony.
I mean, the only other option for me to do that would be to be just strictly working on used vehicles that I buy buy to sell.
Right.
That's about it, because I
Right.
can't work 12-hour days. I can't work 8-hour days.
Right.
It's not going to be able to.
Yeah.
And I've already been, like I said, I've been approved for disability, and I've been declared disabled, so,
Right.
yeah.
So, good. Questions? Is everybody okay with, making that a condition? Not at this time, but if he does reopen?
Reopens, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Are you good with that?
Yep, so in the future, when he does sell, the new owner will have to apply for transfer of aquifer registration.
Right. And at that point, when you do your inspection, because we're going to make it a condition of the approval that it's either removed or secondary containment.
Right.
And the new owner, well, hopefully it's not a new owner and it's Tony. He takes care of that and we're good to go.
Yep, so they'll have a choice if they decide to keep the grandfathered status for the activities or if they choose to not renew.
Right, and I think that depends on whoever buys the property from them, but I think its highest and best use is what it is right now, so.
Yeah.
Good reputation, and I know the building is spotless, so.
It's very clean. There is no violations detected.
Yep, good. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve ARA 16, 318 Hazard Ave, renewal of aquifer registration for Hazardville Motors over an A45 and an A80 aquifers. Tony DeBase, owner, applicant, map 83, lot 269, the Hazardville Business Local Zone for regulated activities B, D, and V, with the condition that the existing oil tank,
Waste oil.
a waste oil tank,
Yep.
be either removed or a secondary containment structure added at the time of, if it's reutilized.
Reopened.
Reopened.
At the time the business reopens.
Right, at the time the
Second.
business reopens.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ken Nelson.
4.
Linda DeGray.
4.
Virginia Higley.
4.
Frank Alimo.
4.
John Petronella.
4.
Vinnie Grillo.
4.
And Richard Suzak is 4.
All in favor? Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanksgiving, happy holidays.
Let me know when I can come in for an oil change. All right? Be positive.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you later.
Take care.
Moving on, ARA 017. I didn't recognize him at all. No, I didn't. It's the masks.
Did we see Karan?
What's that?
Did we see Commissioner Majmudar?
No, he's not. He's an alternate. We sat Commissioner Grillo for the remainder of the meeting.
Okay, just double checking. Thank you.
Yep. I did acknowledge he walked in, though, for the record.
Yes, I got that.
ARA 017-10 Lego Way.
They are not here. Would you like me to speak for them?
Are there any corrections or violations they needed to address?
The only violation they had during the site inspection, because, well, first, they're a fairly new business, and they occupy the other half of Tinlego Way. They are Advanced Auto Parts, and what they do is they're a transfer facility. So the only violations that I saw when we were there was they put all 3 dumpsters directly on top of their storm catch basins. So I told them that that it would be best to relocate these dumpsters because one of the dumpsters had a clear hole in it from rust and that it was leaking into the storm drain. They had no problem doing this. They sent me pictures and the violations have been corrected.
So as of right now, there's no violations? As of now, there's no violations?
Yes, as of now.
Okay. So you guys okay proceeding without them here? I am. As long as there's no violations, there's no reason they need to be here, so. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion. Oh, can do it.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve ARA 17, 10 Lego Way, renewal of aquifer registration for Advanced Auto Parts over the A80 and A45 and A50 aquifers. Rock Ridge Realty LLC owner, Vanessa Lanadina, applicant, map 75, lot 104, I-1 zone, and I couldn't find which activity they were under.
It's kind of confusing how this activity is working because they're just part of the property, and because of the property itself, they decided to just stay grandfathered in. If there was, I couldn't find a legit activity on site besides the materials that they're storing, but I'm sure if down the road they decide to add an activity, this would allow them to do so.
All right, so,
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. I just have one question for you. Is there a dumpster pad on the site?
It's just on top of pavement right now. Like the parking lot is where they put their dumpsters because they have third-party companies come and pick them up. And then they're like giant trucks that come and pick them up. And so they park in the back where the transfer trucks come in to drop off and pick up materials. So they're not on top of like any slab or confinement, but they are on a paved surface. And I did not hear back about that from Deep when I verified the site inspection pictures.
Okay. Do you want us to make it a condition of approval that they do not move those dumpsters back on? Because I know people will move them for your inspection and then they get moved back.
That would probably be a good idea.
Okay, so if we can add that as a condition, I'm
okay,
sorry, Rich.
I'll amend my motion to add as a condition that the dumpsters should not be located in the vicinity of the catch basins.
Second.
you. Okay.
The motion with the amendment.
Okay, now we're voting on the motion with the amendment. Roll call, please.
Ken Nelson.
4.
Linda DeGray.
4.
Virginia Higley.
4.
Frank Alamo.
4.
John Petronella.
4.
Vinnie Grillo.
4.
And Richard Suzak is 4.
Okay, all in favor, none against. Moving on, ARA 018, 12 Moody Road.
He is not here either.
Are there any violations?
No. So this was a past application from, I have their old file actually. Past application from 2008, and similar to Mr. DePace's situation, Rich was never notified properly of his registration expiring. So back then, the only activity he had was B, oil or petroleum dispensing for the purpose of retail, wholesale, or fleet use, and that will be the activity he's choosing to keep grandfathered. Something to note about this facility is that currently the activity they're registering for is not being conducted because the trucks that are stored on Rich's property are empty. He sends them off-site to get oil, and they deliver the oil, then they come back to site empty. So no oil is being stored there currently.
But you had said to us the past meeting that any fleet with 5 or more vehicles must have paved surfaces.
He does park them on the parking lot,
Isn't it gravel
and
off
he
to
only
the
has
side?
3 trucks. And I think it's gravel.
Yeah, it's gravel. And he has a lot more than 3 trucks.
When
He's
I
got
was
probably 3 oil trucks plus all his service trucks. And I just want to clarify for the record, we need to set a precedence. You're doing a good job. but we can't make one do one thing and another do another. So this is a clear fleet. So are you saying paved parking lot or no paved
Well,
parking
that
lot?
really only applies to junkyards, and I found that out when I had because staff has been meeting with the state a lot more recently, and that was part of one of the meetings that we had to clarify that, and that really only applies to junkyards or like properties that have like a lot of commercial vehicles. And when I was at the site inspection, I looked underneath the vehicles parked there, and I did not see any signs of oil contamination or dripping. That's what I've seen. That's what I saw when I was there.
A
And
lot is not a clear answer.
well, they
because
say
5 is a lot.
They say 5 or more, but when I was at the site, I only saw 3 trucks. I did not.
But
ask
you were there
him.
during the day.
Yeah, but I only saw 3 there during the day. I did not ask him how many trucks he had.
Right. So what is your definition of a lot when it comes to a fleet? Because you were very clear at the last meeting, and now you're saying something different.
They
And-
said 5 or more, but
Okay,
they
well
also
then-
said that it
then
applies
it's not
only
a
to
junkyard.
junkyards. This one is not a junkyard, no.
Then your definition of only a junkyard is not the case. Because 5 vehicles and a junkyard are 2 totally different things.
I agree. And that's
Right.
one thing that I never got clarification on, so I can't say anything else about it.
Right. So 5 vehicles, paved or unpaved?
I can't give you an answer to that. It's up to you to decide.
But you're the one who told us last meeting that 5 vehicles or more have to be a fleet, have to be on a paved parking lot.
I see. What I don't know about that, because that is true. I don't know how it pertains to this application because the trucks
Any
come
application,
empty.
any application.
So
We
then
got to set a precedent.
you
We can't
can-
be bouncing all over the place and just, dissecting each applicant. We have to set standards and we have to follow them. It's only fair to the public. Last meeting, you said 5 or more fleet vehicles must be in a paved parking lot. You agree you said that?
Yes, it's in the.
Rich's Oil has more than 5 vehicles fleet, and they're not on a paved parking lot.
Then you
Now,
can
I'm
make
not
it a
picking
condition.
on him because he runs a very clean place, and I don't agree with that. So you want to approve this, and if you approve
So-
this, I'm going to say Rich has probably got 10 to 12 vehicles with all his service trucks.
So what you can do is, he does have a paved lot. We can make a condition that he just moves the trucks to the paved part of the parking lot and have his visitors park there instead. That's the only thing I can think of. Or you can table the application until I can find out the relevant information.
Do you guys understand where I'm going with this?
Yes.
I mean, we're getting, so I don't want to table this because I don't agree with the 5 or more. But you guys, you understand where I'm at. How do you want to proceed with this? I'm not picking on Rich. I'm trying to get clarification.
For me, for consistency's sake, I'd rather table it for one meeting and have a definitive answer from Georgie on whether it needs to be paved or not paved. Not Rich's Oil, all companies that have more than 5 vehicles.
Fleet vehicles.
Fleet vehicles, I'm sorry. That's my opinion, but I don't know about anybody
So-
else.
Do we?
In the legislation binder, from the laws that it states, it only this is what it says. This is not me. That it applies to many vehicles being parked. And when I asked Deep that, they said 5 or more. That's what they told me during
Okay,
a
but the
virtual meeting.
regulation doesn't
Hang on.
say that.
Wait. And if these vehicles are being maintained, and what type of vehicle, as commercial vehicles can leak more petroleum products, we know that. This could also be a condition of approval for the registrations, and this rule particularly relates for junkyards who have to have paved lots on top aquifer areas. So what I can do in the meantime is try and find some clarification on this. I'm not sure why we didn't think of it before they came in, probably because when I was doing the site inspection, I was like, oh, well, they're not storing any oil on site. The trucks go pick it up. They come back empty. So maybe that was my mistake there, assuming that. But
if the truck's got 100 gallons left on it at the end of the night, they don't go offload that truck. So you said what you just read to me, if they maintain the vehicles on the property, which Rich doesn't, and it says many vehicles, it doesn't have a number. That's what you just
Deep
said.
told me 5.
I want what the regulation says. I don't want what the person sitting at Deep is second guessing a regulation. I want what the law states, and what you just read to us says many vehicles. So it's our interpretation what many vehicles is.
I recommend maybe tabling the application until I can clarify that.
With who? You just read it to us.
I have to find the actual law that says that. That was part of the guide from the training that I made for you guys, and that was verified with the legislation meeting I had, and that's where I got that from.
All right, so you're going to just bring us the law. I don't want an opinion from Deep.
I
want to see
understand.
the law that says. Are you guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want somebody's interpretation of it. We'll make our own
We
interpretation.
should have something in front of
Sure.
us that, we should have something in front of us.
I
that
gave
we
you a
can reference.
legislation binder
Oh,
that has
cool.
all the laws in it. I unfortunately only had one copy made, though.
Is this it right
Yep.
here?
Yep, and if you would like to hold on to it, you definitely can.
The binder that's in a P and Z package?
No, it's that binder right there. I only made one copy
Would you
because,
know where this was here tonight, so.
and it was here last meeting as well.
So would you know where it is in this?
I'd have to look. So the first one in the binder is the state training that I made for you guys, and then you asked me to verify the legislation, which I did, which at the back of that first packet is the verified legislation with the laws next to each sentence. After that is the state agency regulations, and that's for the our local regulations are next, sorry. And then after our local regulations are the regulations of Connecticut state agencies. It might be in there, but I can look through it tomorrow and find out.
Just
And-
email the entire
Yep.
commission?
Yeah, I can do
You guys
that.
wanna
And then
table this?
if you would like me to make a binder for all the commissioners, I can do that as well. And the end of the binder is the state statutes. So I put it in this order because when I had the meeting with Deep, they completely explained how the legislation works with APA. So that's why I made these binders. And when we have the aquifer meetings, we're supposed to refer to our local regulations first. Then if it's not in our local regulations, we're supposed to refer to the regulations of Connecticut state agencies. And if it's not in there, the last thing to look for is the Connecticut general statutes for aquifer protection. So that's why I put it in the order that I did. So I will definitely find the correct legislation behind that, okay?
Okay.
Ken?
Go ahead, Commissioner Lionel.
Is this issue in our regulations at all?
What
You
issue?
said we refer to our regulations first?
Yeah, it's-
So is this issue about parking lots and vehicles?
I don't.
Our
I
regulation?
don't think it's in our regulations. I think it's in the state regulations. It's also
Would it
from
be
what I
too
was
much for you?
told.
Can you look like right now in our
Yeah, I just
regulation?
did. I just did. I know it's not in our
Oh, okay.
regulations.
I was gonna say, we could just use that if it was there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. It's a learn as we go kind of thing, and it kind of sucks that we are where we are today. But our regulations come from the municipal module regulations that Deep provided back then, and we adopted them and we edited them towards our town's
There's
needs.
no references to parking lots? and-
I do not think
that's
that
strange.
I know it is a little odd, but even the module regulations, they don't talk about that either. It's just mostly like a best management practice, and that's what I keep hearing about is the best management practices regulations. Is that how those are the regulations that we have to adhere to? However, one of the challenges I'm coming across is how we can, because the aquifer regulations involve other regulations like hazardous waste regulations and stormwater regulations. And so it's kind of like a mix of all environmental laws and policies in Connecticut. And that's kind of why it's so hard to figure all this out. So,
We
working on it.
have to have a straight arrow that we can look at.
Yeah, I don't think
'Cause
it's in
You're
our,
talking about several different regulations that we have to interpret.
yeah, I think I'll find it and I'll email you guys.
So, right, she has a habit of, making an opinion or getting an opinion from Deep. We don't want opinions. We want to see the law, and we will interpret them the way we see.
Right, like the
We may
zoning.
not all agree, but we'll come up with a consensus on how we see it. Rich does have the aquifer laws he's going to review, or go ahead.
Yeah, well, I have the Town of Enfield Aquifer Protection Regulations adopted July 12, 2007, if that's the same one.
Yes.
And
yes.
if we're and I guess it was revised January 17th and effective January 17th, 2008. and the effective date was January 1st, 2008. So I mean, if you can find the section of the regulations and then just, give it to us, we can sort of share what the regulations actually say between
Yep,
ourselves.
and would every commissioner like a legislation binder? Because I can make one for all of
Please.
you. Yes.
There's
And I'd make a couple extra because in
paragraph in here
another
about
month, there's
governments?
going to be different
it's-
commissioners.
I think it would help too for future commissioners as well, because the state statutes aren't changing as far as I know.
So you've referred to in the past, certain things have passed that shouldn't have. And right now, your opinion is 5 or more cars.
That's not my opinion.
But
That's what I was
but
told
that's
by
what you're
Deep.
telling us.
I don't have an opinion.
That's what you're telling us. But what you just read us says a lot of cars.
Yes, so
the
I will
next
verify.
person who sits here, when you go to work for the state, the next person who takes your place may have a different opinion and may sit here and say the same thing, that you did it wrong, and it's not 5 cars, it's 7
Well-
cars. That's why we need clarification so we can move forward and everybody's treated the same.
I understand, and Deep will tell future staff the same thing they told me, 5 cars or more, and I will verify that.
But don't verify it with Deep. I want to see
I
regulation.
will verify it in the legislation.
Okay, thank you. So you guys want to table? So at this time, I'll take a motion to table this till the next meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we table, I lost all my drawings, I had too much stuff.
ARA 018.
A1A 018, 12 Moody Road, renewal for aquifer registration for Rich's Oil to our next meeting of December 8th, I believe.
Motion's made.
Second.
It's December 9th.
December 9th.
Yeah.
Okay, December 9th.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor of tabling this? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay. New applications to be received. Okay, we just reviewed them all and approved them, except for one we tabled. So can I get a motion to approve 8A, B, C, and D?
Second. Oh,
So moved?
second.
Motion's
That's
made.
D.
To receive, you mean?
A, B,
Yeah.
C.
Okay.
Yep. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor of accepting these applications, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, new application to be received is done. Other business, adoption of the 2022 calendar meeting dates.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we reserve the adoption date till our January meeting.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
And the reason we're doing this is because the commission, new commissioners will start the first meeting in January, and I feel they should have the right to make their schedule for the next year. Some of us may not be here, and new people will be.
One thing is, in the December meeting for next year, you have a choice of 8th or 15th, same for planning and zoning.
Yes,
So did you decide on the date yet?
we're tabling it till January.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Lori. Welcome. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Lori Witten, Director of Development Services. We are statutorily required, or not necessarily required, but they try to have all of the town clerk is supposed to have all of the next year's commission meetings set before January. So that's why we're doing it now.
Okay,
This
you
is-
understand
this-
why I want
I
to.
understand, but this is common practice, and it's basically,
Okay,
standard, second
Okay.
and fourth
We
Thursday.
did the same last
first-
year,
first
too.
and third Tuesdays or whatever.
Right.
You could always change them. It would just have to be special meetings.
right, okay.
But this is why we're doing this now. It's because the state asked the town clerk to have these all done beforehand.
Okay, thanks, Lori. All right, so,
Mr. Chair, I'll withdraw my motion to extend the adoption date to January.
I withdraw my second.
okay, Commissioner Alamo, you had a question?
Yeah, so the one that's in our P and Z packet is going to mirror this one?
Yes,
Aquifer
because
would be-
usually aquifer comes before planning and zoning, just
Aquifer
aquifer
has its
meets
own-
at the fourth
Right.
Thursday.
So it's going to be the same Thursday.
Same
Do we have
dates,
to, do we have to?
Aquifer packet has its own.
I didn't see it.
Right here.
Is it in there?
Yeah,
The last page.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it in there. I'm sorry, okay. Is it good? I didn't see it.
Yes. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we adopt the dates as indicated in the Town of Enfield Aquifer Protection Agency 2002 meeting schedule, issued in our packet of, I forget today's date, November 18th, 2021.
Second.
motion's made and seconded. Commissioner Limo, you want to look at it real quick?
I found it. Do we have to do anything about that,
Just the December date.
not the June one with the graduations?
Yes.
Do we have to do anything with that?
Yes, I talked with the staff at ETV today, and the problem is Wednesday is graduation, Thursday is their alternative rain date. So they need all hands on deck and then some, so they're asking us, there's 5 Thursdays in June, if we can move it to the 5th Thursday, if you guys are okay with that. Everybody's okay with that, so we will change that date.
And the 5th, June 5th is our regular planning and zoning meeting, so, yes?
June 5th?
Well,
No, June 9th.
June 9th. So why couldn't we do it then, June 9th, which would be our regular meeting?
This is going to be our regular meeting for P and Z too.
Right,
Because
so
we're
it'd-
doing the same thing for P and Z.
Oh, all right, then never mind.
So we're moving, kind of moving them both.
All right.
But this is just Aquifer when we do P and Z.
All right.
And then November 10th, it says second Thursday.
Which would be because of the Thanksgiving, not a problem.
Martin Luther King.
Okay. And December 8th or 15th.
I'm good with either.
Mr. Chairman, that was because, it was, so like this year, we're only meeting once in December, but you
Yeah.
theoretically could meet twice, but usually you cancel that second meeting.
All right, so why don't we meet December 15th? It's mid-month. It gets us closer to the end of the month, so if somebody comes in,
Fine.
plus December 8th is my birthday, not that I'll be here, but you guys all good with December 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
And the
Every-
22nd, keep, or,
The 20, oh,
You look at December, you're saying?
June.
No, we're looking at, you're looking at planning and zoning.
oh, you're
We're-
right, you're right, never mind. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, December 15th. All right, we're good.
All right.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, the modifications that we had indicated from the schedule that was given in our packet, we're going to modify June to be the, instead of the 23rd, to be the June 30th.
June 5th,
No,
isn't it? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Never mind.
June 30th, and the December date is going to be June 15th.
Yes.
I mean, December 15th.
Too many calendars in front of us here.
Second.
How about next year, staff just sends us a calendar they want us to be at, and we'll be there. Motion's made
I
and
can't
seconded.
do-
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none, it's unanimous. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
7:08.
Let me start the meeting, and I'll call a 5-minute recess. All right? Because we all need it, so, but I have to start the meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order for Thursday, November 18th, 7 PM. Can we all stand for a pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I apologize for the late start. It is 7:10. Aquifer ran a little late. Fire evacuation. In case of a fire, you can exit the rear of the chambers, go straight out a safe distance away from the building, or my left, your right. out the side doors, down a flight of stairs, and out the rear of the building a safe distance. Roll call, please.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here,
Mary Scott, absent. Frank Alamo.
Here.
John Petronella.
Here.
Vinnie Grillo.
Here.
Nelson Correa.
Here.
Kiran Mujmadar. And Richard Suzak is here.
Okay, all members are present. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for a 5-minute recess.
So moved.
second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we will return at 7:15.
Yep.
to call the meeting back to order. And can I have roll call, please?
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here,
Frank Alamo.
Here.
John Petronella.
Here.
Vinnie Grillo.
Here.
Nelson Correa.
Here.
Kieran Mujmadar. Here. And Richard Suzak is here.
Okay, approval of minutes for October 28th, 2001's regular meeting.
So moved.
second,
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections?
Chairman? I
Commissioner
do
DeGray?
have one correction on the first page under public participation. Walter Cruzel does not live at 21 Charlie Road. It's
yeah, Charlie.
It's Charnley. It's Charnley. That's the only thing I saw.
Anyone else? All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Town Attorney's report. Any questions about the Town Attorney's report?
Well, it does mention that
Commissioner.
they have a follow-up on the next status conference was scheduled November 2nd. And today's the 18th. Do we know what happened at that November 2nd meeting?
That would be a discussion in executive session with the town attorney because it is pending litigation.
Okay,
So we can, if you'd like, we can request an executive session on, because these have been going on for quite a while. At the next meeting, we can request the town attorney be here and we schedule an executive session at the start.
Again, I would like to get caught up because I know that, they've been going in front of inland wetlands and, so obviously there had to be some kind of a discussion or agreement that to allow things to go forward. And I was just interested in what that might have been so that if and when they do come before us, that we would have at least some advanced knowledge of what was going on.
Right. Okay. You want to do it in December, or would you rather wait till January when the new seat? No, you guys don't understand. There are going to be new commissioners, and they're all going to have to be, whether we're here or not.
Yeah, you're right.
There's going to be new commissioners put on this commission. So, I don't know who they're going to be. Nobody does. And until we do, we're going to have to get them up to speed on what's going on too with the town attorney. So do you want to do one in December? Because I also would like to know, Rich, and then do it again in January? Or are you okay wait until January?
I guess it all depends on timing in terms of, if there's going to be some action that needs to be done or some, information that has to be disseminated that, we should not necessarily be left in the dark for two additional months. Just
And it should be discussed tonight.
Correct.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. I agree with you.
And so, but, I prefer that we just do it in December, just so that,
Okay.
we don't carry it on for another month. And then if there has to be some decisions that need to be made, we would have at least some information to make those decisions.
So if we could schedule an executive session with the town attorney at our next meeting, Lori,
I will do my best.
that's all that we can ask. Good?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about the town attorney's report? Because if he's coming next meeting, I'd like to give him a heads up of what to bring us, so we have everything for questions. No? Okay. Moving on. Zoning enforcement report.
None this evening.
Okay, seeing none. Public participation. At this time, is there anybody in the audience who would like to come speak to the commission about any issues that are not currently on our agenda? If so, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Bond releases. I don't see any this evening. Old public hearings, XSU 21-09, 117 Post Office Road. Sure.
Ken Nelson,
Here.
Linda DeGray,
Here.
Virginia Higley,
Here,
Frank Alignment.
Here.
John Petronella.
Here.
Vinnie Grillo.
Here.
Nelson Correa. Kiran Mujmadar. And Richard Suzak is here.
Okay, I'd like to seat the alternate Kieran to take the place of absent Commissioner Scott for this. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Donald Nunes. I'm the Director of Public Works, Town of Enfield. Last meeting, you folks had some questions, and hopefully I have some answers for you regarding the Stowe Play Labs that it's going to happen at Stowe School on 117 Post Office Road. So let's start. The application was circulated. Again, these questions, what I did, I took everybody's questions from the meeting and I answered them in no particular order, however I wrote it down. This is what we have here. So the application was circulated per typical planning protocols on October, and I don't have that date, but maybe Lori can fill in. Engineering, Health, and EPD responded with no comment. It was recirculating again per planning protocols on November 4th, and Building, WPCF, and Fire Departments responded with no comment. So regarding that portion of it, there was no issues with it. The length of the lease. The Board of Education has tentatively signed a 5-year lease only with Wilscott pending P&Z approval. So if approvals happens tonight, I will call Chris Drezick tomorrow, and we will get the ball rolling, and we'll get those things, we'll get all the paperwork and start that whole process. The intended use, now, per Chris Drezick, the BOE will use the space as 2 separate play labs where students will rotate in and out every 45 minutes. That's the only use of that building. There's no class, there's no formal classrooms, there's nothing. They just come in, they do their thing, and they leave after about 45 minutes or so. So why does it state Tolland? Well, these units will come directly from Birch Grove Primary School in Tolland, Connecticut. They are pre-built and have no design options available and are known as Building 6 or B6 that were on the plans before. So they've already dismantled them, and they're waiting for us to give them the go-ahead, and they're going to take those units and deliver them once the footings are ready. Will it be ADA compliant? The units will be ADA compliant, and we'll have a full ramping system from the basketball court surface up, ramp up, then come up and branch out to the 2 doors that are there. Question came up for foundation or piers. All the foundation, the modular rooms would be supported by piers only and brought to level with a combination of pier pads, which are plastic or some sort of plastic things or steel that'll sit on top of the concrete masonry units, and pressure treated lumber to get it exactly level. Now, there's 23 piers that are 24 inches in diameter. There are 3 piers that are 30 inches in diameter. All of the piers will have number 5 rebar, which is 5/8 rebar for verticals, and number 3s, which are 3/8 rebar for all the horizontal ties. In addition, there are 20 hurricane braces, I call them hurricane braces, to be installed as well. So on the drawing here, right where I'm moving the mouse, that is where the foundation is. This will be poured concrete, and these lines here are the rebar. Then afterwards, there is the pad that we talked about. There's some concrete blocks. Then there's the shimming that'll finally get those I-beams level. The hurricane braces are screwed into the ground. Then there's a strap with a particular foot-pounds that it can hold, and that also holds it from flying away during hurricanes or heavy storms. Now, this is the foundation layout. So if to this side of the drawing that you can see are the hitches for the trailers, they will be removed once they are mounted and whatever, so they will disappear. But they will, so they'll back it up over on this side. These are all the pier locations. These are the 24-inch ones, and there's the 3 that are 30-inch ones. I don't know how or why they came up with that locations, but this is from their foundation plan. And all of these X's with the arrows show the hurricane bracing where they have to be. There was questions about the length of the unit. They are 23 feet 7 inches wide when they're combined and joined together and welded together, and the length is 66 feet. I think some of that may have got muddled with the scan of the PDF or however it came in, but it is only 66 feet, and it is 23 feet 7 inches wide. So water and sewer, there will not be water, domestic water connected to these buildings, nor will there be sewer connected to these units. The intended use from BOE does not have a requirement for these utilities. If they were to be used for a classroom, that's a different story. Since it is a play lab, Chris Drezik has been explicit with me saying that they do not need running water in there or sewer. Now, per BOE, hand sanitizing stations will be provided for the kids to do that. Inclement weather, per BOE, students and staff going to and from the units will experience the weather and they will dress accordingly and properly. That's what I was told. Is there an increase in parking? There will not be an impact to the number of vehicles required, as the Stowe Learning Center will not be adding students. Then why are they not adding students? So last year, the play labs were held in 2 classrooms that were remote due to COVID. So those 2 classrooms were remote, and they had the opportunity to take that space and put the play labs in those spaces. Now, we're not remote. We need a home for them. So that is why those classrooms are occupied, and when they need a place for the play labs. That's the whole intent of that. Appearance. This, if you look on the lower right-hand corner, you'll see an arrow. This is the view if you were standing on that walkway looking this way. So what you don't see is the ramp that'll come up and branch to each side, but there is a door to the southerly classroom, and there'll be a door to the northerly classroom with 4 windows on each side. There is a slight little pitch of a roof. You'll see that in a second. There is a little bit of a pitch to the roof, and these are the northwesterly and southeasterly corners of the ends of the building, the 23'7" wide section. So that they're just very plain. The spot that faces, if you were standing here looking this way, all it is 2 emergency exit doors on the side. The rest is just aluminum. That's all it is. Underneath will be skirting all the way around. They'll have traditional. You will not see any of the piers. You will not see any of the hurricane ties. You won't see anything. You'll have that decorative skirting that goes to the ground, to the gravel.
Just as a quick question, they will have stairs there, not necessarily a ramp, at the rear doors?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So impervious versus pervious. So the entire basketball court is 4,755 square feet. The footprint of the modular units are about 1,700 square feet. Now, what we plan on doing is just cutting out just what we need for the footing, the width of the footings, and that's it, leaving everything else intact. So we're taking out the pavement. We're basically taking out this out of the basketball court. We're just taking it out, getting rid of it, digging the foundation, or digging the piers, sorry, those poor, digging the piers and putting the units in, then putting the skirting around it. That's what we're doing. So we're actually reducing the amount of impervious there. Now, again, we're gonna just cut this area out here. That is all we're gonna be doing, saw cutting that out, removing the blacktop that is currently there. And we're gonna, again, somebody will come in and install all the piers. Then once they're done, they will back them up, and they have a machine that actually will grab it in the middle, pick it up like a forklift, and place it. And that's how they'll shim it and level and put everything else that they need out there for that. There will be a 5-foot border all the way around. So that's 66 feet. I still have 5 feet on each side and 5 feet over here. The existing walkway comes down here and goes onto the basketball court and will come up the ramping system, come over and again and branch off to each door.
What do you mean a 5-foot border all the way around?
I'm not stripping the pavement. That's just going to be the blacktop that's around.
Oh, 5
so that
feet.
island. So the island of
Yes. The border is blacktop.
Yeah, the border is
Okay.
blacktop.
Yep.
Yes. So electrical supply. DPW is actively working with Eversource Energy to provide the proper components. Now, the location of the components, the resulting trenching, the possible transformer location will need to be determined at a later date because we have not received Eversource's design. We have asked them to put the transformer on the utility pole. You may not see it. There's another. Well, you're not going to be able to see it on this one. I have it on the drawing, on the site plan that I submitted. we want to put it on the utility pole that's out in the grass area, so there's nothing on the ground. So they believe that they can accommodate that to put the transformer up on the pole, and we'll just have to, they'll drop it down and we'll just trench to the units. Now, each module unit requires a 200 amp panel, and we need a 400 amp service to be installed there. So per BOE, there are no current plans to add another set of modulars to the other side of the basketball court. So back to this drawing, there is nothing here. There will not be another application coming back to put things here. They just want this one and the ramping for now for the 5 years. And so I hope that answered all your questions. I thank you, and I hope that if you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Grillo.
Good afternoon. Just one question. Can I ask why? Because out of everything they're doing, it really looks great. So why are we choosing the basketball court to put this on and not where they had the containers last time behind the building? I'm sorry, the reason why I call it a container is because it's a container. You know it's a container. And if you look at the houses that are they're looking right at it. Right now you're looking at the nice swing set that they just put up. It's beautiful, everything's there, and then you're gonna see this container. That was my only issue, and especially where you have that transformer, that's the door that comes, the kids are gonna have to walk by that to go through. So the transformer placement is kind of confusing me, because when they walk out of the school, that's where most of the kids go, especially in that parking lot, because the playground's there. So if they could put it on the post, I totally agree with you.
Right, that's where we tried moving it before, but that was the original location of where it was when the 4 units were behind for Crick. That was the original location.
Okay, I didn't notice. Okay.
So we started with that, and they were fine with that. So then we've been trying to work with Eversource to modify the location and see if they could work with us to put that out on the pole,
Right.
out in the grass area on the westerly side. So
It just seems to me like that last corner where the walkway is that goes into the back, going into Post Road,
Yep.
that little piece of asphalt that is next to the basketball court, I know it doesn't seem that much further away, but it actually is out of the view of the road. Do you
right,
know
so
where-
we tried a bunch of different locations around the site. So if you were looking at the east, so if you were standing on Post Office Road, back right corner, northeast corner, we were looking over there, but that is so wet and it is just full of, and those things would be sinking out of sight. It's the engineering that would need to go in there. Is crazy. If we put it directly behind the middle of the school, so if this was a school and you have the playgrounds here, if we put it here, they would have to go to the bathroom. They have to be a certain distance, which escapes me, from a bathroom. So they would either have to walk through another area, go around the gym and come in that side, or cut through classrooms, which is disruptive to the people that are in the class. What they were trying to avoid is having kids going right where the playground is. If a kid had to go to the bathroom, they'd knock on door number 17. Excuse me, I got to go. Johnny's got to go to the bathroom, and they cut through a class that's in session. So trying to figure out the exact maximum distance to a bathroom, this was really the only logical spot for it to help, because they would come in off the door on the northwesterly corner.
And I definitely understand what you're saying, because when they had a whole bunch of them back there, I get it. The only other entrance is over where the L comes out.
Yep.
On the other side. But couldn't they put it on the back, if you're looking at the parking lot right there, so that if you were to drive straight down the parking lot to walk into the side of the building, couldn't it be on the asphalt directly right behind that to the left side, so you would be looking down the side of this container classroom instead of seeing the container going the long way across the road front? Does that?
I think it was determined because of the parking that would be lost in that area, and to corn that area off, we couldn't gain that parking elsewhere.
Okay.
And we're pretty well maxed out on the number of spaces required for the staff that's there throughout all the things. So the parking was the parking restriction, whatever, or requirement, we're right there. We're a few away. So losing that, we have nowhere else to put them.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think that was part of why they tried to put the parking in the front of the building, and we made them move it to the back. So they're using the back now for that parking.
I didn't realize they were at the extreme limit in the parking because literally right there. when-
Literally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any pictures of the building, the color, design, siding?
It's a gray container. Honestly, it's a
That's,
gray container with windows.
That's what I have.
I'm not kidding you.
It's going to most likely be white or gray, like Commissioner Grillo said.
Commissioners, any other, Commissioner DeGray?
Is there going to be any kind of screening from the road? I agree with Commissioner Grillo. The people that are across the street are seeing this gray cube. And it's kind of, I've seen them. They're kind of good. And I'm just wondering if there's any kind of screening that you're going to do, any kind of landscaping to kind of soften this. I know you've got the shaded structure there.
Yeah,
You've got
the shade structure is right.
playgrounds and all of that.
Is
but-
right here. Yeah, we were not planning on doing that. It could be problematic with that shade structure, what we actually put in there. I don't know what would really be appropriate in that small amount of area to not interfere with the shade structure or sight lines to playgrounds and things like that. I don't know.
And they're, and I understand they're saying they need this play space, which I'm old. We didn't have play space. Sorry, we didn't. Come on, let's be real.
It's really tight there for them to do any planting.
And they've got all these playgrounds. You're taking away a basketball court. That's a play space too. So.
These are little kids.
I know,
Little.
but little kids play basketball. My little neighborhood, my 3-year-old plays basketball. I play basketball with him. Come on, you don't play basketball with grandkids?
I use a little tiny tyke basketball.
But still, it's a space, and I just would like to see something soften that a little bit. It's just right there. Something. It's.
I understand your concerns about taking away, a play space outdoors or whatever, again, but the decision between, with Chris Drezick did not come very easy, knowing there's 10 pounds of things in that 5-pound parcel over there. It may even be 50 pounds of things in that 5-pound parcel. There's a lot of action going on there. And again, it wasn't taken lightly. I've had many meetings with Chris. Laura, we've had several meetings about this, and we've weighed in pros and cons of all the locations, sight lines, everything that we could do, and really the only logical space without either going into wetlands or just kind of doing something completely rash is this was the best location that that the Board of Ed could come up with based upon our recommendations of site limitations and restrictions.
I'm just.
Well, I understand.
It's a square.
Anyone else?
The only concern I have is that, this is a basketball court now, and in 5 years, it might be returned into a basketball court again. And I see that right now they're putting their concrete piers level with the surface of what's ever there right now. And I find that common practice probably would be to keep that top of pier down 6 or 8 inches below that surface, so that if you did want to refinish it with the existing finishes that are there right now, you could actually blend an area so that you don't necessarily have these projections occurring above the surface of what's ever there. So
Yeah, unless it's really down far to really below, I would still want to remove those because again, you have different freezing and thawings and things like that. I would rather just have them removed. And if we would return that anyways, there's already seams that go around there because we have to repave a bunch of part. I would just rather rip it out, replace the hoops at proper distance and do it correctly at that point. I would just redo the entire basketball court. so we're not having patch after patch after patch. That's what I would do.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you realize that, you know, there's
understood.
a significant amount of expense associated with that versus,
And Board of Ed is well aware of that as well.
all right.
Anyone else? Well, I just want to say the ECDC is a huge part of this town, and a lot of people take advantage of the services they provide. I do realize they are running out of space and bursting at the seams. I'm good with this. I just hope it doesn't turn into a 20, 25-year ordeal like JFK did. And I'd rather see them put an addition or another addition on the building and make it permanent, because they're a huge asset to this town.
Yeah, there was that discussion at a much higher level about, could we actually put an addition in, and, could we go a second floor? But again, back to the parking, back to the 50 pounds of activities in a 5-pound bag. There's the parking issues, and again, you increase that, now we need more spaces, and we're already taxed for spaces, so, there was a lot of planning to go into just finding a home for those two
Right.
play
Well,
labs.
I think the commission would be open to ideas to work with the town on an expansion if that is the case there.
I will
So,
happily convey that to
I think we all
Superintendent Drezik.
established,
Yep.
we'd rather see that than these temporary structures that end up not being so temporary.
I was going to say, it's not temporary.
Right, and I just think it's safer for the staff and our children and everybody else, and, this is a permanent part of our community, and I don't want to see it go anywhere, so anything I can do to help them.
Okay, great. I will happily convey your sentiments to
And I think
Superintendent
you guys
Drezik. And
all agree?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
okay,
any other questions? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve this temporary structure until they come to us with a permanent one.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for the approval of the resolution to approve public hearing number, let me get back here. XSU 2109, dated,
It's not a public hearing. At this, thank you. At this time, is there anyone out here who would like to speak in favor or against XSU 21-09 for the first time? For the second time? And for the third time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we close public hearing XSU 2109.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous. XSU, Lori, what does that stand for?
Extra special.
extra special
I
use.
did not create this numbering
Extra
system.
special units.
Maybe, or units, there you go, okay. Use or unit, whatever.
You don't know, Lori?
It's supposed to represent a municipal public hearing.
Oh, because, public hearing, that's PH is what I've always.
Yeah, I know.
So that was my misunderstanding. Okay. Any other questions?
So we can differentiate.
Seeing none, now I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll move for the approval of the resolution to approve public hearing XSU 2109, dated, actually, the date of our meeting was theoretically October 28th, 2021, with the 23 standard conditions and no site-specific conditions.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call.
Ken Nelson,
4.
Linda DeGray,
4.
Virginia Higley,
4.
Frank Alamo,
4.
John Petronella.
4.
Vinnie Grillo. I'm sorry. Kiran Majmadar. And Richard Suzak is 4.
All in favor, none against. And I just want to say you guys did a phenomenal job with all the playgrounds and, the kids, it's just the town. You
Thank
guys, I know you're in charge, so you don't hear it a lot. And my grandkids play on them and the splash pads, just beautiful work.
All right.
Just
Thank
keep it
you,
up.
the Department of Public Works and Board of Ed. Really thank everybody for understanding what this really was, and really appreciate it. Yes, Kieran.
We lost the tennis court to the playground, so I think we need a tennis court someplace else.
The senior center has one.
We could put some picklers in, so. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoy some time off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone's coming in. Somebody's trying to come into the meeting.
Oh,
Julio wants to join you.
You want me to decline them? Somebody's trying to bomb in on them.
Get out of here while you can.
Some EHS kid, I think. Apparently they have access to the team system. Okay. This school has access to the team stuff.
Oh, you punched the wrong button.
Okay, moving on. Public hearing 3017 MA 1297 Enfield Street. Zone change request for the Felician Sisters. They have submitted a letter to withdraw their application for several months. Did everybody see that in their packet?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is temporary. They're going to reevaluate and come back in front of us in several months. So for the record, can we enter that letter? We're good? Okay, and do we need to remove it from our agenda? And I'll entertain a motion to remove PH 3017 MA.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept the withdrawal request for PH 3017 MA.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded.
discussion on the motion, please?
Go ahead.
Was there a hard copy letter? Because I received one electronically. Is there a letter?
There's one in the file.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, good. Moving on, public hearing 3013, 51 Enfield Street.
Mr. Chairman, this has also been requested to be tabled. They have one more opportunity before their time runs out to have all their application material submitted. Ben's been in.
Yeah, their extension runs through approximately mid-December, so they'll be coming to the December meeting. They can either withdraw at that time or proceed with what they have.
Okay, and what are we waiting on?
They needed an updated parking plan and engineered plan showing an oil-water separator.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we table public hearing 3013, 51 Enfield Street to our next meeting of December 9th.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. New public hearing. Seeing none. New business. SPR 1875, 190 Elm Street. Site plan review.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here,
Frank Alamo.
Here.
John Petronella.
Here.
Vinnie Grillo.
Here.
Nelson Correa. Kiran Mujmadar. And Richard Suzak is here.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to seat Nelson Correa for the absent Commissioner Scott for this special permit. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about what you'd like.
Good evening, members of the, you guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
This one? There we go. All right. Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Anthony Capuano. I'm a project engineer with Soli Engineering. We have our office at
Pull it on up right up here with these gentlemen. I know you're part of this application, so. If anybody's bringing the free Nordelli subs, it'd be him, so get up here.
Again, for the record, my name is Anthony Capuano. I'm a project engineer with Soli Engineering. Our office is at 501 Main Street in Monroe, Connecticut. I'll just give an intro of the project and some technical overview. For the project we have at 190 Elm Street here in Enfield, Connecticut. So here's an overview of where our site's located. It's just to the east of where we are now at the corner of Elm Street and Shaker Road. It's located in the BG zone of the town of Enfield. The site itself is 6.75 acres total, consisting of 2 lots. One larger lot, which you can see denoted here, is all undeveloped, consisting of a large amount of wetlands, about 1.6 acres of wetlands on the site. And the smaller of the lots currently contains an auto service station, which is still in use today. A closer view of the site, again, site's located at the intersection of Elm Street and Shaker Road, again in the BG zone. This is a rendered site plan of the site as it stands. So the site consists of an 8,437 square foot gas station and convenience store with a drive-through, as well as a car wash. The gas station has 8 fueling stations with a total of 16 spaces for fueling cars, as well as an 8-station electric vehicle charging canopy, which is located right up here. Additionally, we had gone to the Wetlands Commission for approval of a wetlands remediation plan, which you can see is largely located in the southern end of this site. As it stands today, there's a large wetland pocket that runs through the center of the site, which really hinders the ability to develop this site. So we had gone through an extensive remediation plan. Is there any way I can X out of this?
Yeah, I see you guys come.
Okay.
We're getting teams bombed, I guess, by the school. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You think this would have happened when we were in virtual mode, not back in person? I am so sorry. I'll let IT know in the morning.
You have to finish the presentation first.
No. I was told initially the high school kid, the school kids were not supposed to have access to the town side of things. I guess that's wrong.
So jumping back into it, so the large portion of the southern end of our site is a large wetland remediation area, which consists of a large wetland pond located here, the bean-shaped object here, as well as some shallow pocket ponds located to the east and west of that. A large walkway fills the back of the site. It would be a 5-foot wide gravel walkway, which provides some nice interconnectivity from the site to the I'm not sure if it's apartments or condominiums, the condos located to the south of our site, and provides a nice scenic walk for anyone that would be using the gas station or the car wash or whatever other amenities they would be on the site for, to take a nice walk around, enjoy the newly constructed wetlands. Just a very nice aesthetic and recreational purposes that would come along with this site.
That'll be a gravel walkway?
Yes, a 5-foot wide gravel walkway. So I'll dive into some of the technical specs on the site plan. So the site's going to be accessed via 2 driveways. There's a right-in, right-out only driveway that's located on the western side of the site, west of the intersection of Shaker Road, and then a full movement driveway, which is located to the east of that intersection as well. This site has large network of sidewalks to promote interconnectivity from the site to the surrounding area, provides a continuation of the sidewalk located to the west along the front of the site, and then connecting back into the sidewalk along the east side. We'd originally proposed the sidewalk to be, I believe, 5 feet off the road, just to kind of follow the same path, but we had received some comments on, I believe it was the wetlands application, to pull this in as far into our property line as possible, just to increase the buffer space from pedestrians to the road itself. So that was one of the changes that we had made the last time, just to pull this sidewalk in and just give a little more added buffer between the busy road and people walking along the sidewalk. The sidewalk also connects within the site with numerous crosswalks, each ramp being ADA compliant into the store and as well as along from these connected paths. It provides some good connectivity down into a picnic area that we have down here, just located in between the 2 buildings, which from there you can enter the walkway that goes around the wetland remediation area. The gas station also has a drive-through, which has 11 queuing spaces for the drive-through. And then, as I had said before, the gas fueling canopy is located to the north of the building, with the electric vehicles charging station located to the east of that. The car wash has 3 queuing lanes, with enough queuing for 24 cars before entering the car wash itself, where people enter through one of the 3 lanes, pay at a pay station down here, and then eventually merge into one lane that will feed through the car wash and out the other side, at which point they can exit the site or feel free to use the other amenities of the site. There's also vacuum stations that are located to the west of the car wash for anyone that would need to clean their car. And I'll move on to, at this point, to our grading and drainage plan, where we have a series of storm catch basins and manholes, taking all the runoff from the impervious area on site and directing it into the large wetland pond that I had mentioned before. This wetland pond is capable of treating the entire water quality volume that would be created by this new development and impervious area. And as well as that, we also have mechanical means of separation with a hydrodynamic separator located right here, which takes in all of the runoff coming from either the east side of the site or the west side of the site, which all passes through this mechanical means of suspended solid separation before entering this pond. And the pond has two spillways, one of which leads to the southwest corner of the site, and the other one leads to the southeast, and this was done to match the existing drainage patterns of the site. Currently, all drainage from the site runs to one of two locations. One would be a culvert, which is located here in the southwest corner of the site, and the other one is just a direct overland runoff into this wetland pocket down here. Now, both of these runoff points eventually lead into the freshwater brook, which is located off the southeast corner of our site. So we had tried to match, or we had reduced existing flows going to each of these points, which eventually lead into that freshwater brook. So all of the runoff that was studied has resulted in a decrease in runoff from the 2 to 5 or 100-year storm, and as well the storm sewers network was run for the 50-year storm per the town of Enfield regulations. We had taken the approach for our soil erosion sediment control to go through a phased approach. So in the first phase, it would result in a lot of clearing in the front of the site, but the construction of the wetland remediation area would take place during this phase as well. We just thought this was a better idea to just get this work done at first and then keep our eyes on the development in the front to kind of separate this into kind of like a north-south development plan to keep out of the way of each other during each phase. So we'd construct an access road from the eastern side of the Elm Street and Shaker Road intersection down into the back of the site, where we would construct the wetland pond and the rest of the remediation area. And then during the second phase is when we would focus on the development itself. The SEC plan was developed with silt sacks, diversion swales, construction entrances, diversion swales with check dams, just to make sure that we've got all the proper measures in place to reduce any sediment or erosion into the wetland area. Here's a view of our utility plan. So all the site is serviced by public utilities from Elm Street. So we've got domestic water, electric, telecom lines, gas line in Elm Street, as well as sanitary. The gas station has a grease trap, a 2,500 gallon grease trap that would handle all the fats, oils, and greases coming from those uses inside the gas station, as well as the car wash has a reclaim system, which consists of a series of 3 tanks through which the recycled water from the car wash would pass through, and some of it would get recycled and reused back into the car wash, and the rest would discharge through a sanitary line back into the public system within Elm Street. We also have a landscape plan that was developed in accordance with the town's regulations, has around 70% native plantings, an abundance of overstory and understory trees, a 25-foot setback from the residential use across the street, and a 35-foot buffer from the property to the south as well. And then we also have a lighting plan where all of the lighting was intended to be directed inwards towards the site with no light leakage onto neighboring properties, and as well as keeping the light levels in the wetlands at 0 as well to make sure that there's no light getting into that area as well.
Couple. Yeah. Are you open 24 hours?
In some locations we are. It depends on the location itself and the nature of the neighborhood.
Now, this location, would it be open 24 hours?
I would like to be open 24 hours if that's the pleasure of the board, but.
No, I'm okay with that. It's just on your lighting plan, I think the paths in the back is a beautiful idea, especially for the apartments back there. But will there be any sort of lighting on them for somebody who's coming from the apartment at 10:30 at night to get a snack?
There wasn't any plan for that, but we could probably figure out a way to have some path lighting. You know, that would be probably solar solar generated that would impact the wetlands at all.
Okay, but right now, there's not.
Right now,
Okay.
there's no plans.
All right, thank you.
And just, I'll get into my portion, but for the record, Luke Morrow, I'm a professional engineer and a professional traffic operations engineer. I'll be handling the traffic portion of the presentation, but just to echo what Mike said, somewhat of the recommendation of our wetland scientists is we don't want to, especially at night, disturb any kind of wildlife or anything like that. So any type of really luminous light fixture we would try to avoid. We can perhaps look into some kind of low-level lighting, but in order to maintain the function of that wetland system, more looking to use it, for the daytime when people might be out in the picnic area or something to that effect. So we're trying to maintain a natural setting as much as we could.
Just bring in
in
a
that
bunch
wetlands
of
area.
lightning bugs.
We'll bottle them up, let them loose. Any other site-related questions before we move on to the traffic portion? Or?
I have one.
Sure.
Could you just go over the westerly egress again? You said left, right, or something?
Yeah, so the westerly egress up here to the west of this location is a right in, right out. So if you're coming into this site, you can only access it traveling eastbound on Elm Street, and you can only exit traveling eastbound on Elm Street as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Suzak.
Because I have a question in terms of, I'm looking at your detention basin.
Yep.
And I noticed that it has a relatively deep pool that goes down to
Yes.
elevation 110. And it starts off at elevation 121, and the elevation of the, I guess the main platform for, the store and everything else is like at elevation 27, 28.
Right.
So, and my question is that, recognizing that there's wetlands on in adjacent lands, are you going to be penetrating the water table to dig down that deep? And how effective is that last, 5 or 6 feet of excavation going to be in terms of for your detention basin rather than just collecting groundwater table associated with the adjacent water table?
So, I mean, I'll speak to this as best as I can, but the reason for going down that low was to reach groundwater and to provide this as a functioning wetland due to the fact that the site as it is in that area is around elevation 122 or 120 in that area. And we had done test pits out on the site with a wetland scientist at which we were able to find groundwater at an elevation of about -8 from that point. So the reason that we had gone down so deep was to reach that water table and to have this actually function as a wetland pond and not just a detention basin. Although it does provide that function as well, it's really just to provide that wetland function is the reason that we had gone that deep down there.
So you have a reserve capacity associated with, the actual collection of the groundwater, to create that wetland, I guess,
right,
feature that you're trying to create, and that's above and beyond whatever your need for the drainage.
That's correct. Yes.
All right, as long as that's clear.
So and I'll just butt in. So the storage, any storage required for stormwater management would be above what we would expect the permanent pool level to be
High
in that
groundwater.
pond.
Okay.
So yes, it's all accounted for.
All right. As long as you've accounted for that, not necessarily saying, oh yeah, we're going to collect all this water, and then all of a sudden there's a storm and there's no place for the water to go.
No, it's
Should ask AAA that.
it's greatly oversized and we want it to stay wet, right? In order for that wetland to function and, as designed, that's kind of, the whole reasoning for it. We had our soil scientist, Bill Kenny, involved in the whole design process. He came up with design. We're not that creative. You could see, I like to call them those little fidget spinners on each side. That was all part of his design and some of that, some of the aesthetics. And he's done this in numerous places, and it's worked out really well. So he was actively engaged with this design with us to make sure this is a fully functional wetland.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's pretty creative with wetlands that they've worked together and made this property work.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to go to the? I got it. Sorry about that. All right. So with that, I'll give a overview of our traffic report that we completed. So, moving from left to right. and disregard these two at the entrance ramps to 91. These are, I apologize for that, those are excluded from our study. So basically, we did an analysis of these 6 intersections, starting here, coming down to our intersection over here, from this intersection over to here for any, we generally analyze any intersection that is expected to experience over 100 new trips. Based on our new development going in. So starting from left to right, we have Elm Street at Freshwater Boulevard. Oh, my mouse disappeared there, sorry. Elm Street at Paloma Drive, which is across the street from the future shops at Elm Street Square. We have Elm at Spring Garden Road in the entrance to Aslantuck Community College. And then we have our 2 site driveways, one of which is right here, one of which is right here, and then also the intersection of Elm and Shaker. So a little bit of background. Yes.
Your second exit is on the other side of 7-Eleven?
No.
I think there it is.
I point too far.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
see.
I just want to be clear.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's nice.
So yes, our exit is on the west side of 7-Eleven. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a little history of the roadway. So the 2019 ADT, based on counts from Connecticut DOT, was about 27,000 vehicles per day on Elm Street in both directions. We took, as you're well aware, COVID has been affecting travel patterns lately. So DOT recommends we take recent count data that was done prior to COVID hitting in March of 2020. So we took count data from Hesketh's study for the shops at Elm Square here, provided most of the data we needed, and we supplemented with some additional counts that we had done this past August, and we basically balanced those together to get our existing count volumes. And then we projected them into the 2023 build year. We're anticipating this is going to be open hopefully in 2022, but we have an extra year buffer in our analysis as well, just in case. So in terms of that 0.5% growth rate we use to bring these volumes into 2023, we also include the traffic volumes from the shops, let me make sure I'm saying this right, the shops at Elm Street Square, which is located right here, as well as another warehouse development located at 113 North Maple. So we took the traffic volumes from both of those developments, and we also included off-site improvements that Hesketh was proposing. There's a new leg of the traffic signal over here that's proposed as part of shops at Elm Street Square. So those are all modeled in our background conditions. Once we model the background conditions, we use data from ITE, Institute of Traffic Engineers, to develop what our anticipated trip generation would be for our development. The uses specifically for this site include fast food user with a drive-through and another fast food user without the drive-through, because there are numerous tenants within our convenience store itself, and then a gasoline service station, which includes the convenience store use as well as the car wash use as well. So based on that, our anticipated trip generation during the morning peak hour, which we'll say is generally like 7:30 to 8:30, about 216 new trips on the roadway network. During the evening peak hour, say 4:30 to 5:30 or so, about 250 new trips on the roadway network. And then the Saturday afternoon peak hour, call it 1 to 2 or 12 to 1, somewhere in that time frame, about 365 new trips on the roadway network. And based on existing travel patterns, we expect about 20% of the traffic to go to the northeast on Shaker, about 20% of the traffic to come to and from Elm to the southeast, and then the remaining 60% to travel west along the Elm Street corridor, and then down Paloma, Freshwater, and then heading back to the highway. As a result of our analysis, we ran a capacity analysis based on the latest highway capacity manual requirements. And basically, our analysis indicated that we will be matching the acceptable background conditions of the roadway network. So there's no degradation, and I'm sure you've heard the term levels of service before. Everything will operate at an acceptable level of service of C, B, or higher. There is one intersection at Freshwater that does operate at a level of service D during the PM peak hour. However, in a built-up area like this, as traffic engineers, a level of service D in a highly commercial corridor like this would be something that's considered acceptable. So, as well as our site driveways all operate at acceptable levels of service of A, B, and C at all times. As far as queuing goes, we don't expect any significant increase in vehicle queuing along the Elm Street corridor, no more than 1 to 2 additional vehicle queuing over existing conditions once this development comes online. Anthony kind of touched on site circulation. I'll just go quickly. Oh, I had to zoom back out, sorry. To a rendering here. So in regards to truck access, this right-in, right-out driveway is designed to accommodate SU-30 box trucks. They can get in and they can get out without going over any of the curbing here, and they can, from the immediate travel lane adjacent to the site. And then full-size truck deliveries for fuel trucks and whatnot are able to maneuver into and out of the site from the eastern driveway on Elm Street over here. Anthony touched upon our pedestrian connections. We're going to be putting in a new sidewalk here and providing numerous connections from Elm Street corridor in the site, and then through the site you can see there's a series of crosswalks and sidewalk connections from one side over to the other side, and then down around the back to our picnic area, which then leads to the gravel path around the wetlands that we're creating. As far as safety goes, we did analyze intersection site distances. All site distances meet Connecticut DOT requirements along Elm Street. We also did an accident analysis. We did not notice any specific accident trends that you wouldn't typically see at a signalized intersection, mostly rear ends, side swipes, stuff of that nature, no fatalities or anything to that sort. So with that in mind, our conclusion was that there are no off-site improvements or mitigation measures required as part of this development. The study will be reviewed by Connecticut DOT during the encroachment permit process. We will need an encroachment permit for all the driveway and sidewalk work, within the Elm Street right-of-way. That's all under DOT's jurisdiction. And with that, I think that concludes our presentation. We'll be happy to. Oh, I'm sorry. So just quickly run through architecturals. We have our floor plan for the Noble Gas and Convenience Store. So main entrance over here. That's back. So this is rotated the opposite way. I'm sorry. Main entrances, bear with me here, on this side of the building over here. We have, so the drive-through would be located over here on the left side of the page. So the queuing would come around the back, if you follow my arrow. Also an exit to the rear to lead to that picnic area in the back. The ice cream user is located here on the right side, and there's also a patio area associated with that. So in the summertime, families can come and eat their ice cream outside, some fire pits and other nice features and whatnot. And then you have your user for our deli. Our deli and our coffee user, Noble Brew, as well. And then we will. Am I going to get it here? Yeah.
For the record, Michael Frisbee. It's nice to be here this evening. So I just wanted to point out inside the building, which is different than most gas station convenience stores, because the Noble Market is a lot different than that. We actually have a very large indoor seating area, so people can sit down and enjoy whatever offering they have, whether it's the ice cream, the deli, or the coffee and breakfast. And then on the site plan, we showed an outdoor seating area over here with a fireplace, so people will be able, in nice weather, be able to sit outside as well. So I just want to point that out.
The deli, will you be running that, or are you gonna, like you had mentioned last meeting, Nordelli's or?
So I am a Nardelli's franchisee.
Yeah.
And Nardelli's, I will be able to present this to them once the site plan is approved, and then they have to approve it. It's a family-run business, and I'm sure that they're going to like this location. But the plan is for me to have this as our second location for Nardelli's.
Right. So would Nordelli's go in the deli area you were talking about, or over towards the drive-through area?
Well, the Nardelli's, the plan is to be able to utilize the drive-through for both the coffee and the Nardelli's. So the coffee breakfast program here would do it in the morning. You could be able to get coffee all day long. And then the Nardelli's would take over at lunchtime into the evening, and you should be able to go through the drive-through that. So because I control everything, I'm an owner-operator, I get to be able to use the drive-through for both.
Okay.
So
Good.
It's different than other folks.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you.
So that, go ahead.
I just had one question. When you started the presentation, you showed the 2 parcels. Are you planning on merging it to be 1 parcel?
Yes, the lots will be consolidated. Yep.
Okay, thank
and
you.
I believe that might be a condition of approval as well. But yes, we're in agreement to do that. Yep. Just overview of what the exterior elevations look like. Neutral beige color. We have an understanding that signage permits are going to be required, but just as a graphical, our Noble logo over the main entrance, the Frisbee ice cream logo over here. On the right side by where the ice cream will be located, and then Noble Brew over here where the drive-through is and the coffee, and we may have jumped the gun here and put our deli logo as well, and some other murals over here on the side of the building, but there's a stone facade or stone on the bottom here, and Mike, I believe is it a clapboard finish? Is that what it? Hardy plank clapboard finish. And then here's the rear elevation of that one. We'll move on to...
Back up one picture, please.
This one?
The picture you have there of the ice cream cone, is that considered signage?
Because it's on the rendering, what that area on the building, I've slated that for local artists to be able to come in and utilize that and try to put a mural up there. So we did put an ice cream cone up there, but the idea is to have that be part of the community and the local artists can put something on that space. So if it's considered signage, we'll come in and ask for it. If the board approves it or not, it doesn't have to be there on that space, but that's the idea.
Well, I don't want it to count against your signage, square footage, square inch per built,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to come back for signage anyways, but we'll take that under
Right.
consideration.
And then, if local artists are going to do it nowadays, everybody gets so upset if somebody does something they don't like. I mean, do you even want to open that can of worms? I think the
we're
ice
trying.
cream looks beautiful. Everybody likes ice cream.
Excuse me, did you mention an ice cream vendor, ice cream company? Did you?
Go ahead, Mike.
So I'm the founder of Frisbee's Dairy Barn in New Britain. I went to Ice Cream University, learned how to make ice cream, and was able to bring back ice cream to New Britain. So I bought the Gaida family homestead.
Oh.
And in order to help with my Noble station in New Britain, I was able to bring back ice cream there, where they opened up in 1945 and
Wow.
closed down in '97. So. It's homemade ice cream. We're going to bring it into all the new locations, hopefully this one as well, and hopefully for everybody to enjoy.
So you're gas, cream, and deli.
Exactly. All the
Wow. Gas and coffee.
important things in life.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to, let me zoom back out here. Just quick elevation of what the gas canopy will look like. Noble color scheme with the green and orange and the black roofing. And then there's another view from the side. And then these are here we go. These were the elevations for Soapy Noble, which is continuing with the You're probably noticing a theme here. Keeping with the Noble theme, that's going to be the name of the car wash. These were the elevations that were submitted with our package. We've since gone with a slightly different scheme that we wanted to present to everybody tonight. It's essentially just kind of changing the roofing material from an orange to a green color. But the remainder would be the same neutral beige color with the stone, on the bottom, clapboard finish, basically to match the convenience store as well. So we just wanted to make sure we presented the latest architectural, but essentially just a change to the roofing material. And I think that's the end of our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions for anyone.
I was good with it until he changed the roof color.
Yeah.
That's it.
I guess the only question I have is that a metal panel roof, or that's not an asphalt shingle roof?
Yes.
Oh, it is an asphalt shingle roof?
No, that's this metal panel here.
All right.
Yes.
I mean, the metal panel, depending on if it's a standing seam, might not look so bad, but a green asphalt shingle definitely would not work with me.
No. I just look at his East Windsor location, and I mean, it's one of the nicest gas stations. I mean, there's one other that's building new that I think they're going to end up fighting it out between the two of them and put everybody else to shame. So, and I don't want to mention the competition. So, I think they're beautiful buildings.
Yeah.
Even inside, you walk inside those buildings, they are spotless. I don't care when you're there.
Yep.
And what a great idea. Get the kids to get their sticky hands all over your car and have a car wash right next door. It's got it made.
I have a question. So when you were talking about your traffic design and a DOT and you have to go for permits, so you're not sure yet whether they're going to require you to do any off-site improvements, or that's already?
It will be under their review. Typically, they won't start encroachment permit review until we get a planning and zoning sign off.
Right.
One of the submittal requirements is the planning and zoning approval letter. But I've done a lot of work with DOT. I don't see there being any need for any kind of off-site mitigation. But that would be under their jurisdiction because they do own, they're both state roads.
Well, it's good for you. I just thought that they would be, all over it and making you want to widen some lanes or put de-acceleration lanes in and all that stuff. But that's good that, they're saying it's safe and it's going to be safe for the community, and don't anticipate any more issues there.
I don't anticipate any issues.
It's good.
But it's the DOT, right?
It's up, right. Yep. Thank you.
So, yep.
Commissioner Limoff, if we could raise hands because other people have been waiting to ask questions and you keep jumping in. So thank you. Commissioner DeGray.
I just had a quick question. It's
Higley.
okay. It's
Sorry.
okay. I just had a quick question. I've noticed a lot of the newer stations, not your East Windsor one, but a lot of the newer gas stations don't have the air machine. Are you going to have that at this one?
So I'm surprised that they don't, because it's a state requirement. So we have them at all of our stations, and we actually have the free air, but we also have the calibration system. So if somebody wants to, you could put air all you want and free air all you want, but if you don't know how many pounds you're putting in, so we have the calibration system there that you can pay $1 or so to calibrate as well. But we do have the air stations there.
Thank you. I was surprised when I went into a place and they didn't have it.
Commissioner Petronella?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a question on the traffic study plan. I'm looking at sheet TT-2, and with respect to the, I guess the eastern entry exit off of Elm Street, where you're showing the WB50 truck, the tractor trailer. So when you're entering into your property, it looks like they got to swing pretty far out into the outgoing traffic lane to make that turn. I see a potential issue with always cars backed up trying to get out onto Elm Street there, because that's the only way that you can go left. Sure. or start heading west. Do you feel that that's sufficient enough for the radius? I mean, it shows that the trucks can get in and out of there okay, but, turning in, he's got to get out there pretty wide. And just a logistics concern.
Yep. So, these turning movement templates we do are conservative, but we are showing it that turn in working without having to go onto the other side of the double yellow line. I will concede that you're correct, that it is, showing going over the stop bar. Do we have some ability to widen that radius on the west side? Certainly. And that's certainly something that's also going to come up during our DOT review and a comment. And they will not allow us to construct that driveway unless they see, that it's fit to their standards and safety requirements. So,
Yeah, I certainly see DOT flagging that, and I know that this is all subject to their review, and they can't look at it until we give it a blessing, and so forth. But good luck with that. I just think that that's going to be the whole review. That's where most of the traffic's going to be going, and that with that traffic light there.
Sure, and we don't, Mike, I don't know if you know exactly how many. We're not anticipating many truck deliveries daily, maybe one or two. So, and I would venture to guess they come at kind of off-peak times. So, but something we can definitely consider and make that a wider radius on the west side to try to keep it closer, not going into the outbound lane.
Well, at the station in East Windsor, every time I get gas there's always a fuel truck delivery there, which I just always hit it. Okay. I'm always hitting that.
Understood.
That's good for him, though. That
Yeah,
means he's
I know.
pumping out the gas. All set, John?
That's it, yep.
Okay.
Kieran?
Yeah, thank you. I think you have very well researched and planned the site. You have challenges, yes. Your challenges are basically the wetlands, the DOT, the traffic, and you have addressed most of it very well. I'd like to continue on the traffic part of it. Assume I'm on the state highway 220, that is Elm Street, and I'm coming up to making a decision. Am I gonna go left, continue on Shaker Road, or am I gonna go right on Elm Street? Right turn by right is a left on a red light, traffic light. So I'm not really thinking about a driveway where somebody else is coming out and taking a right turn. That's your westerly entrance. Somebody, we are not the experts, should be thinking about possibility of safety at that location where I'm taking an aim to go to right on Elm Street, beating red light, and not anticipating somebody from this western entrance also coming out, taking a right turn, and that motorist may be thinking of going left on Shaker Road. So you may need to look at the safety issue of that right turn versus somebody on the highway taking, going east on Elm Street, because that may be a little safety concern. That's number one. Number two, I'm assuming with Mr. Petronella's concern on a truck taking a left turn, Elm Street as you come out, you also have a weird island to make the intersection of Elm Street, more or less Elm Street and Shaker Road or 220, 90 degrees. As a result, your car is basically, after taking a left turn, is trying to go right to conform to the 90-degree intersection. That is potential, again, a traffic issue, because Elm Street people are trying to get to the traffic light, and usually in traffic, high intensity times, higher peak, lower time, the car's backed up here. It may not be as big an issue, but again, what I'm trying to say is, I'd like to have you and DOT look at the entirety of the intersection, coupled with the two entrances and exits, especially the one taking the right turn on Elm Street, from the westerly entrance, as well as taking the left turn on Elm Street from the easterly entrance. Those are as far as traffic is concerned, my suggestions that you look
Sure.
and consult with DOT, and of course, with the utmost concern for safety of all. Number two, it's a great idea to have access for the apartment complex people to be able to get to the wetland and enjoy the passive recreation. Lighting, etc., I understand, you want to keep it as minimal as possible. Will there be some kind of an instrument that tells the public that, hey, this is a public access? Maybe a good idea to keep the public informed that they have the right to go and enjoy the passive recreation. That may be another good idea. Number of parking spots, you only need 88, you got well above that. It's fine to have extra parking spots if you don't really need them. Why have so many? For example, you already have so many stacked cars shown on your, the toll machine for car wash. You get a lot of parking available. If you don't need so many extra spaces, but that's up to you because you know your market conditions more than we do. My general opinion is the less the better. You just don't need that kind of additional pavement. I see a lot of it here. As far as the electric charging stations are concerned, I don't really know how long it takes to charge one of these fancy cars nowadays. Hopefully someday, when I'm old enough, I'll have a self-driving. The point I'm making is somebody to be able to sit down for half an hour, 1 hour while the car is being charged and enjoy the amenities within the building. I'm sure they are, and again, the market conditions control all of those activities. Other than that, architecture, I don't think it's any different. Noble architecture is good. I've liked it. Conformity to the neighborhood is probably not that critical here because you got a Walgreens and then you got older residential areas, apartment complex not really visible. So overall, I think you've done a great job trying to make the presentation well, as the plan very well. Look at some of these safety concerns that I have for the entire intersection. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to address some of your concerns. So, in regards to the right-in, right-out, and the other full movement driveway on the east side, the site distances required for a car to safely make the right or left turn onto that roadway without any view obstruction. The requirements that we meet, what's provided will meet what's required by Connecticut DOT. In terms of safety, we were originally looking at a full movement driveway on the western side. Because of some of the queuing issues that you brought up, we said it's going to be really difficult for someone to make that left turn in during, Friday night or something to that effect. So hence the reason why we changed the design to a right-in, right-out driveway to account for that. As far as the queuing goes on Elm Street, and mind you, the simulations we run aren't perfect, right? They're not always necessarily representative of real-world conditions. So on occasion, there's going to be discrepancies with our analysis puts out, but generally, the queuing that we saw on that Elm Street westbound approach to the intersection with Elm Street and Shaker, generally the queues were not long enough as to block somebody from getting out of that full movement driveway. Not to say that on Friday night, you may have to find someone to let you, give you a gap to get in there, or wait a minute or so to get out. But we tried to push these driveways as far to the west and as far to the east as we could to try to avoid some of those queuing concerns and site distance issues that you brought up. And again, it will be DOT will definitely make sure that we design what they're going to want to see out there, and they'll provide comment and make sure that we everything is done per their standards. In terms of parking, just quickly, I believe, and Anthony, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe our parking count also includes some of the fueling facility spots under the canopy, as well as the electrical vehicle spots. And there's, I think, a dozen vacuum parking spaces as well for the car wash. So if you subtract those out, we're probably pretty close to the 80 or so that are required, by the code. And then, I forgot what your third comment was. I'm sorry. It was about the walkway, and I think we can work with Mike, but on some kind of signage, just to let people know it's the public is open to walk along the wetland trails back there.
Yeah, I think, just to follow up for a short minute, signage within the site telling exiting vehicles and motorists that if you go out this way, you may anticipate whatever type of traffic, or if you want to go some other way.
Sure.
That might be more appropriate to have signage within the site, but I leave that up to the.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a back door to go to your picnic area, but I don't see any crosswalks to come out that back door. And you've got you've got the drive-through traffic, and then you've got a lane that you can just drive without going to the drive-through.
So
you should-
Luke misspoke. That's not a doorway for the public to use it's an emergency exit for folks to get out as a secondary egress.
Okay.
So we didn't want people walking through the drive-through to get over there. That's why we have the outdoor seating area, and we have the sidewalks to go around that way.
Oh, okay. You had that back door and, no, that's okay. Thank you.
Nelson? No. Rich?
Because
Frank?
I'm looking at your snow storage areas, and basically you have them either to the west of the west entrance and to the east of the east, exits. And that area is relatively flat. And I'm just looking at, the volume of snow that you can possibly accumulate. And I know even when I shovel my own sidewalk during times of extreme weather, events, that, basically you're just going to be blocking, the sight lines associated with people being able to look out, out of the driveway and trying to get into the roadway if you put snow in those areas. And again, getting back to the grading that we have in terms of the back of your prop, once you get past the bottom parking spots, it significantly, drops off in an elevation. So theoretically, you could, if you're going to be moving snow anyways, you could easily locate the snow in that grassy swales that's going to be, sort of supplying your detention pond anyway. So
Because of the chemicals.
We try to keep them away from the river.
do you actually have chemicals in that,
Well, it's de-icer and sand and who knows what else is picked up, it's other kind of stuff.
Yeah, but again, I think that, if you create, again, when you, I know that, when you have, I guess, water infiltration through grassy swales, that's more or less provides a cleansing action to a lot of the materials that might be suspended there. And I'm just wondering if that would be, if you located it towards, I guess the west side of that parking lot.
I think if I could, I know we have snow storage, indicated on the plan. In theory, this site, when you look at it on paper, it may not look as big as it is, but there is a lot of green space, and when we do, plow the lot, it's not going to all end up in those snow storage areas. It's going to end up, and I think we did a good job designing the site to be big enough to allow for snow storage on the edge of the curbs and the green space to still be able to function around the site. I don't, as an owner-operator, I don't anticipate, pushing all the snow to one side and piling it up on one portion of the site, even though we do have it indicated on the plan. I don't know if that helps answer your question, but.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't become a sightline condition.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want it to be, because we want it to be safe.
If right now it appears that, potentially it could be a sightline condition where you've just blocked all the possibility of anybody seeing anything that's going on from either or direction.
For sure.
All right, thank you.
As soon as he said it, we're like,
You're lucky our wetland scientist is here.
We just got this,
We have a wetlands commissioner right here.
after 40 years of people not being able to develop the site because of the wetlands, you want to put salt back there now? We finally got this thing going? Only kidding. They did. They did an awesome job.
You guys, making this piece work, that's huge. A lot more people have to do this. And thank you, Linda. Sorry. All right, anyone else? Any other questions? Lori?
I was, could you make that a little bit smaller, please? So if you are at the multifamily area, no one's going to necessarily go from the very bottom of the site to that trail, I don't think. I mean, it's wet and whatnot. So I was just wondering if maybe to the left where that property line is there, you might be able to add a little trail just, a little bit further north where the second property is, there.
Yep.
So if you go from there to the...
Just across this way.
Well, not even going onto the trail, but just going onto the site so they could go access the store. Because they'll be going on pavement the whole way until they get to your site. So if you wanted to do something of that nature, if you wanted to have that connectivity.
And we would need to talk to the neighbor, and I'm happy to have those conversations with them, because I think it would be a nice feature if they would like to have that. So I
Yeah,
can't guarantee
exactly.
that it would happen, but if, as a good neighbor, I would like to offer that to them. So we can certainly have those conversations.
Awesome.
Well, would you want us to make it like a condition of approval that you can go ahead? Can they do that with the wetlands?
I'd prefer to have the plan as submitted, approved,
Okay.
and then work with the neighbors in addition. And if we have a connectivity, say we agree to that, we can always come back to the board and say,
Okay.
this is what we'd like to.
I was just trying to
like
prevent you from having to come back, but Ginny's correct because of wetlands, so.
Well, that's what I was saying. It would be essentially out of the wetlands at that point. So
Is there going to be an area, you have a lot of rest time here that people can do a lot of things, eat, stuff like that, while their car's charging or whatever. Do you have an area that they can walk their pets like the rest stops have on the interstates?
So we don't have a specific, like a pet soil area where they do the
Yeah.
business, but we don't have a specific pet area for that. But, pets will be allowed and be able
To
to come in
walk
this
on the
area.
trail
Yeah, they'll
and-
be okay. Yeah, this is, as long as we'll have a stand out there so they can pick up their
Right.
dog poop and.
Maybe a little sign that says pet-friendly area or something so they know they can.
So I'll mention, it does look like a lot of parking spaces. In our industry, a lot of folks want to get you in, get you out, right? So, I'm looking for bigger sites like these, and we're accommodating and designing for the busiest time. So when we do want people to be able to enjoy the outdoors, but also be able to enjoy the inside, and while their car's charging, or if they want to get a sandwich, they don't feel like they're rushed to get out of there. So it is a big site, and looking on paper seems like a lot, but when we get out there, it's going to be comfortable. There's going to be plenty of space, and that's what I'm building for the next 30 years, not building, trying to accommodate for today. So.
Great.
If you get approved tonight, how long will it take for you to build it and open it up?
So I appreciate that question. I'm generally I guess I forget the word, but if you talk to Paul, who builds these for me, he's like, oh, Mike, you can't do it in 6 months. But generally, the path forward would be that we would get to DOT after formal approval, And then we would start the site work. We have to close on the property, obviously, and then we start the site work in the late spring to early summer. And then it takes me about 6 to 8 months to build, weather permitting, right? So if we start in the summer months, we'll be able to fly right through. If we start a little bit later than that, depends on the weather conditions, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner,
Oh,
Thanks.
bite your tongue.
Commissioner DeGray?
Just one quick question, because Ginny kind of said the ice cream is the big deal.
Yes.
Will your ice cream be open year-round?
Yes, that's important because.
It's important.
Because we have the indoor seating as well as the outdoor seating. And to have, 35 to 40 seats inside the main building allows us to be able to do that. So, so that's important to me as well, to have it open as long as we can. Our business is open 365 days a year.
Yes.
So it's,
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So are you currently serving your own ice cream in East Windsor?
So we have, in East Windsor is a different model. We have the Dunkin' Donuts as our tenant. But we do sell Frisbee's ice cream in pints and quarts inside our Noble Market, and we do that in all our Noble stations.
Right.
The idea now is to help build the brand and build it in multiple locations so we can serve the general public, with milkshakes and ice cream sundaes,
That's
that
what it
kind of
was.
stuff. That's what this program is. But also be able to buy pints and quarts, cakes and pies and ice cream sandwiches in the Noble Market.
Right. Yeah, because East Windsor, I can't get a milkshake, right?
Can't get a milkshake, yes.
Right.
No, we're changing that model. So.
Right, okay, that's what I thought. Anyone else? Everybody good? How would you like to proceed?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve site plan review 1875 with the, as prepared by the Planning Department resolution with the 20 conditions indicated on their November 18, 2021 resolution, and there, surprisingly, there's 0 site-specific conditions, and I think that, looking at it, you did an extremely good job presenting your project, and the fact that I couldn't even add, the snow removal items, but I guess I'll just have to live with that, and so.
Well, thank you.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ken Nelson.
4.
Linda DeGray.
4.
Virginia Higley.
4.
Frank Alamo.
4.
John Petronella.
4.
Nelson Correa.
4.
And Richard Suzak is 4. And I just like to add that I'm a native New Britain person, so I grew up on Guida's ice cream and Guida's milk, so that it's nice to see that it's making a comeback.
So thank you for that. And we actually just opened up officially on Wednesday or Tuesday our second location in New Britain. So New Britain is like a second home to me. They really embraced our program, and we really like being part of that community, and we're thankful, and we'll hopefully do the same thing here.
Okay, all in favor, none against.
Yep.
Now you can.
Thank you.
Welcome to Enfield. We look forward to you opening up, and I'm going to be in for a milkshake, a car wash, and fill my tank.
Go.
How long does it take to charge an electric car?
So there's different level chargers, and you can have a level 1, which is standard charger at home or at the library. You have a level 2, which would take a couple hours to charge to a full charge, and then there's a level 3 or fast charge, which would take 18 to 22 minutes. We are starting with the level 2s under the canopy, and then moving to the level 3 chargers when there's enough demand for that. The model is that we don't charge for the chargers, for the charging currently at the Noble stations, where we have the level 2s, and then we'll move to a break even, and then eventually when there's enough cars on there, hopefully the model will work where we'll start to charge for the convenience and start to make a little bit of money on that.
Really? So people can charge their electric cars for free right now?
So at our existing stations now that have the level 2 chargers, we do not charge for that. We're doing that as a nice thing to do for the community and have people, generate it. The other thing that sets me apart is that the Noble chargers are branded Noble. So we have the Noble EVs. A lot of companies will just allow somebody to come on and place their chargers on site. and then they're not responsible. They just get a check and they charge for that. I believe that everything on site should be my responsibility. So if the charger's not working, that's my responsibility. If the charger's not working at other locations, they come in the attendant and they say the charger's not working, like call the 800 number. We don't manage
Right.
that. So I have a different philosophy for that. So it's important to me. The other thing is we're going to put it under a canopy so the customers get the same experience as if they're, utilizing it for fuel and gas. They're doing it for the electric charging. So if it's snowing, it's raining, they still have that same feature. So that's a little bit different as well. It's not in the back of the property somewhere,
Okay.
some way, shape, or form.
So to be clear, electric charging's under a canopy and it's free
Yes.
at this time.
To start, yeah.
And diesel's under a canopy and it's free for us too, right? Am I clear on that?
We have good house account programs. We have fleet account programs.
Absolutely.
But anyways, thank you so much.
No
Really,
problem. Welcome to
pleasure-
Enfield.
pleasure
Thanks,
working
guys.
with the town.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Old business, seeing none. Other business, adoption of the 2022 calendar. I think we pretty much established that with the aquifer protection.
Well, we need to just make sure that we did get that.
Okay.
Because you only had one column on aquifer,
Yeah.
and here you have two. So I believe, what did I do with it? Oh, so you decided to have the June 30th on the 5th, for the 5th Thursday
Yes,
instead of the 23rd, correct?
yes.
And December 15th,
Yes.
and it was and now you need to decide whether you schedule the second meeting or you just cancel it like we normally do. It's available, it's the 22nd, it's the week of Christmas.
So why don't we schedule it now? We can always cancel the meeting if there's nothing pressing.
That's what you could do.
Yeah, so we
That's
reserve
up
the
to you.
room.
Yep.
And then as we approach, we'll know better what's on our agenda, because who knows, we could have the mall pending. Let's hope,
Okay, so you're going to stay with December 15th and the 22nd?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and then instead of June 23rd, you're going to do June 30th? Okay, hopefully we'll find a room.
Why?
Oh, because, a lot, that should be fine because it's.
Well, book it now.
No,
Right. If we
It
got
may
it
already
first,
be booked,
forget the
but
town
it's-
council.
it's the 5th Thursday, so we should be fine.
All right. Everybody's. You want us to vote on it?
Just
I'll accept a
and
motion to
vote.
approve the calendar for
So moved.
2022.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay. Correspondence? Commissioner DeGray.
Could we, at our next meeting, have an update on how the POCD is going?
It's been canceled lately.
Well, I'm
Well, it
just,
was canceled just this there was two cancellations. There was one recent.
just
Yesterday.
a brief update, maybe next meeting.
Yep.
Year end, people watch us, might
Yep.
want to hear.
And it has nothing to do with you. I think it was Don who couldn't make the meetings, why they were canceled.
He had some medical issues where he kind of fell behind. Literally, he hurt his back.
Right.
And he was.
I just don't want you to think it was you, because I know it was Don.
I mean, it
so.
doesn't have to be Don who comes. I mean, either,
No, that's fine. We just, as a matter of fact, Ben and I met with him this afternoon,
Okay.
so, we'll give you an
all right.
update.
No, just, a brief, yay, it's going great, or,
Would you like to go
We're
to the
sort
next
of
one
on
in my
track,
place?
on time. So,
okay.
I mean, I can tell you that right now, is that, we're still sort of on track to hopefully finalize it and have it adopted by next April. The zoning regulations are a little bit further behind than we anticipated, but it's easier to do them after, knowing what's in the POCD. It helps to create the zoning regulations based on that. So.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Rich? No? Okay, Commissioner, under correspondence, Director of Development Services report.
Yep. You know, what, I'm going to take this off. There's a few people in here, so I'll feel a little safe. Let's see. So where am I going to start? Well, first of all, the discussion on farm breweries. I changed it a little bit from what we had discussed, and I just needed to kind of confirm with you that you were okay with the changes. First of all, you had wanted to get rid of the 40% sale of merchandise that's unrelated to the farming operations. So from a planning perspective and an enforcement perspective, we're concerned about that because we don't want a phone store to pop up at the brewery or a winery. So that obviously would be unrelated to the farm. So what I suggested for wording was to change it to or up to sale of merchandise related to the products grown or manufactured on the premises, or up to 40% sale of merchandise unrelated to farming operations in general on the premises. So you were concerned that we were like getting a little bit too down in the weeds with the farming. So this would just be, 40% sale of merchandise that is really unrelated to any farming that you could think of.
Agricultural.
Yeah. So that's the only reason that we were concerned about that. And I think Ginny might remember, it's like when it comes down to zoning enforcement to make that determination,
You got to count how many jelly beans there are.
Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to nitpick, but we need some teeth.
You have
All
to
right.
have some regulations.
Everybody
but-
good with that?
Yep.
Frank, you good with it?
Okay.
All right, so, go ahead.
Okay, and then under the parking and access requirements, we had permeable parking surfaces recommended, and actually, I changed it to permitted, but actually I would like to almost say recommended and permitted. So, but,
Right, gravel is permitted.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't want these farms paved.
right.
A farm's dirt road and,
So maybe it's permitted, recommended and permitted. Is that okay?
yep.
Okay. And just to clarify, because I was a little iffy as to what the final consensus was with the sign standards. They were going to allow the street signage up to 20 square foot per side freestanding signs along the frontage. And attached signage is 2 square feet per linear feet of building, not to exceed 32 square feet. So I guess I was unclear that you wanted both.
Well, I mean, a farm can put a farm sign up. Every farm out there has one.
I just want to, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, I just wanted to clarify because it was a little.
We just don't
unclear.
want I don't want A-frame signs up
No.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Right. So you'd rather just have the freestanding little street signage?
Or if they're open,
Yeah.
hay rides today, they could have it out for 6 hours and then take it down at the end of the day.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ginny.
Just so I'm clear, your street signage is up to 2 20-foot per side freestanding signs along frontage. Are you saying two sides, frontage, or just one frontage and you can plunk 2 signs on it?
One sign would have 2 sides, so you'd be driving along the road.
Oh, so it's one
One side.
double-sided.
Well.
It says 2.
Right, so I think the discussion was with that, typically there's a lot of frontage with these, it's 5-acre site.
Well, I know,
minimum,
but
so
if you
they
have,
were thinking-
in theory, if you have a farm, but you have to drive through this narrow driveway to get to it, you could put 2 20-square-foot signs right there.
Right, but this would be along their frontage, so if they've got 300 or 500 feet of frontage, they could
What
have
if-
2 signs, one
Right.
that
But what if
at
they had
wherever
100
location.
foot frontage?
Once they get inside, I don't think it much matters.
No, I'm talking about on the road.
Yeah.
Most farms will have a large frontage, but not all farms will have a large frontage.
Right.
So what do you do with the little ones? You still going to
So
allow
you want to
them
base
too?
it on the length of frontage?
Well, I don't want it to get too iffy, but, there has to be some kind of cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Should be based on frontage.
Yeah, it should be based on frontage, but, I don't know if you say every 50 feet you can have a sign, or every 100 feet you can have a sign, or every 200 feet, but there should be some kind of a maximum that you allow, a minimum that you allow 2 signs for. Because, as you said, they're double-sided, so they're getting, in theory, 4 signs for this little frontage.
Well, I mean, it's just instead of going this way, it's this way, so.
Well, for a business, do we allow 2 signs on a frontage for regular business? No, I don't think so.
No.
Why would we allow 2 signs for a farm stand?
It's a business.
Well, yeah, it's a business.
I
They
guess-
should only have one at the entry, and that should be sufficient. I don't know why they would need 2 signs. I don't care if they got 500 feet of frontage. It's just have a sign where the entry is.
Yep.
Just
So
just
keep
the
it
one.
at 1?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, the farm sign.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Every farm you pull into's got their sign hanging there, that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
You wouldn't need 2.
So they're allowed to have the 120 square foot per side, the freestanding sign along the frontage, up to their choice where it's located, and they're allowed to have signage on their building up to
Yep.
32 square
Yep.
feet max.
That's good.
Because I find that the per side designation somewhat confusing, because is it per side of the building? Or,
No.
you should say double-sided, one double-sided sign with so many square feet associated with it. If
So
that's what
20
really what
square
we're
feet?
saying.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
Right,
20
if that's
square
really,
foot double-sided
because
sign?
per side gets confusing, because I first time I read it, I said, well, there's 2, and per side of what? The building? Per side of the?
No, this is street signage.
yeah.
Right.
So we could say 120 square foot double-sided freestanding sign?
Right.
Right.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. And then the building signage is okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay,
fine.
and then the other reason that we had to bring this back to you is because, and Ben pointed this out as well, that we needed to modify our food truck regulations, and I'm going to find it again.
Why?
Why do?
Why?
Yeah, why?
She's looking.
I had it. I don't have the
No,
in
she
hard
wants to
copy, but I
modify
had
it.
it.
Why do we need to modify it?
Highlighted in red on the food trucks. Looked like you made it correct.
Oh. Oh, it's on the other side.
I apologize
Okay.
for that. Where did I put it?
Oh, because of a farm brewery.
Did you flip it? Is it on the back, Frank?
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's on the back.
Right here.
So.
Says one associated with.
Basically, under the exemptions, and again, I can't find it right now. I don't know what I did with it. Under the exemptions, the very last one, it just exempts the fact that it could be closer to a restaurant or all of the other things that we require more than one time a year for wineries, distilleries, cideries, and breweries. So it just adds another exemption of areas that the food trucks could be pretty much nonstop. Nonstop while they're open.
So
Instead
they'll
of
be
like
on
one
the
time a
property?
month or a special event.
Look, Lori, they'll be on the property, not on the
Right.
road, but on the property. Okay.
Right. Yep.
If I remember, we did not want the food trucks at these places because of the brick and mortar proximity. And
That's why this would be exempt. Because it's not a
But
restaurant.
It's not a restaurant, but we also have a brewery that's very close to a brick and mortar restaurant. And there was a lot of discussion about that.
Is it-
And
I-
granted, this is a different brewery / farm stand.
Right, it's a
It's
farm
still the-
brewery. It's a different license.
It's a whole different entity.
It's still a different entity, but
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying is we're still infringing on the brick and mortar restaurants, bringing it in. So
I found it, finally.
I'm a little uncomfortable with this after what we had to go through with the food truck requirements that we went through and the input that we got. So that's just me personally.
Danny's Pizza.
Well, when we went through these regulations, and I know you weren't here, but I know you read through it, you know, the food trucks were included. And in order for that food truck to be included, we'd have to change the mobile food vendor and exempt them for this use.
I just have a quick question, just for my own edification. The brewery, when they have the the mobile trucks, would they be stationed there all the time, or would they come for events? Just
No,
out of
they'd
curiosity.
probably come like on a Friday night
Yeah,
or
okay.
whenever they might be open.
But they wouldn't be there Monday through Sunday.
I
They could be.
I don't know that.
Okay.
My guess is, you know, I know that there's a winery that has food trucks that come in,
Yeah.
and they're in East Granby. They have food trucks and they come on the weekends. And,
Yeah.
you know, come because
Powder Hollow does
Maine's
that.
cousin's lobster truck is going to be there. And they make that as a,
Well, they would have to come to us for a special use permit to do a farm brewery, right?
yes.
So
Okay.
they would
All
do
right.
the mobile trucks then, the vendor trucks then?
Well, as part of the regulations, as we're about to propose them to be adopted, that would be, you know, it's part of
The farm brewery.
Yeah.
the
And it
farm
would
use.
be a
and
special
it
use
says-
permit,
It says
right?
here, food trucks may be permitted, subject
no
to
permit.
obtaining all required
No,
health
no,
department
no.
approvals.
For them to be a farm brewery, in other words,
They have to
I
come-
have a farm and I want to put a brewery in there. I would have to come before this thing as a special use permit,
Yes,
not a site plan review, a special
Correct.
use permit. Okay, thank you. That's when you get them, Linda.
that's the very first sentence, permitted uses via special permit.
Get it.
Yeah.
Then you're
Yeah.
permitted.
Well, Lori, on the backside, where you show section 8.100, mobile food vendors, that does not apply to farm breweries?
So I added section F, and I'm sorry that it didn't get color coded if it isn't. Oh, yeah, so that's the only thing I'm changing for mobile food vendors, is just adding that as an exemption to this section, as
She's
the other
adding
things are exempted.
Because they're not normally allowed, but they're
Because
going
if
to be
they- if-
allowed at a farm.
They wouldn't be allowed based on the other criteria.
Right, but item G under section 8.100 says mobile food vendors cannot be located within a half a mile of a brick and mortar food establishment unless given written permission, blah, blah, blah. So
So
that
this would
stays
be
in,
exempted
it
from
applies to the farm brewery.
No, it does not. All, the exemptions, under item B, all of those uses, all of those events are exempt from everything else beyond it.
But if it's not farm, then it's still.
So it has to be, in order to be exempt from that section that you just referenced
A half
and all the
mile from
others.
brick and mortar.
That's just for the
So
farm
when
brewery.
associated with the farm brewery, cidery, distillery, and winery, subject to health department approvals. So it is exempt, it would be exempt, like all those other items, from the rest of the regulations.
You good with that, John?
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know whether Ben has any other comments. I mean, we kind of like looked at this and tried to figure out how we could make it work.
Yeah,
And we discussed it, and
as long as a special use permit works for me.
Anyone else? You're sure you're good with that, John? You look like you're trying to digest it still a little bit. Okay. All right, everybody's good with this?
okay, so I'll
How
make.
long does it take for CROG to approve something?
So 30 days. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow I'll make out an application, have the town of Enfield be the applicant on this one, because it's something actually you had asked for a long time ago. So, and I'll get it to CROG tomorrow, but that won't make the 9th.
Because I
November
know
9th
last meeting, he had said that, he's got all his brewery equipment on order,
Yeah.
ready to go, paid for, but he really can't do anything, so. Or stuck in the port at LA. Watch him get approved and then it don't come.
The
Sorry.
trucks aren't available.
All right, you need us to move on this, or you all set?
If you're good with this, I'll make the actual application and I'll send it to
Yep.
CROG tomorrow, but we won't make the November 9th meeting.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, the December 9th meeting
That's okay.
for a public hearing, so it'll be the first one in January.
All right, thank you, Lori. Administrative approvals?
I just wanted to let you know, keeping on my report, requirements for the multifamily housing developments, 4.70.6, I did get to CROG because they made the modifications and they have made an application for the single-family detached. So I just wanted to let you know that that's what went. And I do have actually a couple of things I wanted to let you know about. The CROG corridor study, which is now the traffic impact study around the square, we're working on the visual preference survey, study survey. They're about a month behind. We weren't happy with the pictures that they had chosen, so they're reworking it. So we're working on that. It appears that the town council may undo the opt-out for cannabis. So that will mean that we will have to start looking at regulations to regulate that if indeed they decide to go forward with
Well, I
it.
think they're going to do a public hearing, right?
That's my understanding, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of giving you a heads up. It's like,
Yep.
this is something that we're probably going to have to start dealing with probably come January. And just wanted to let you know, we had a ART for 35 Bacon Road this week with Adam Winstanley Enterprises, and they're proposing an 819,000 819,000 square foot two-tenant building at 35 Bacon. They've had neighborhood meetings, and everything looks like a go. I think they've done a good job for preliminary plans already, and we'll probably start seeing that in January.
Is this going to be way in the back of the campus like
Way,
all the
way
rest?
back.
Yeah.
And there's already an existing very heavy buffer,
Yeah.
landscaping buffer, so that's a really good thing, so.
Right.
I have heard that there may be somebody interested in trying to work with Namdar, the owner of the Enfield Square, to reconstruct it and work with them as the developer instead of just the property owner. So, more to come.
Good.
That's about all I could say about that.
Same as the Lego Hallmark location?
That is the Hallmark
That
location.
is the Hallmark. It's the back of the Hallmark, the old Hallmark
Yeah.
buildings. Yep. Okay, that's it. I'll shut up now.
No administrative approvals?
There weren't any.
No. Okay. Applications to be received?
Just public hearing 3020 for the text amendment for the single family and the multifamily.
Okay. Opportunities and unresolved issues?
There's always some, but I don't know of any.
Okay. Anybody?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so, Georgie.